all day as each team embarks on its journey to the Commissioner's Trophy. And down in Memphis last night, the Grizzlies fell to the Clippers 141-132. Russell Westbrook dropped the season-high 36 points en route to the victory. They'll face off again tomorrow at 7 p.m. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport, TD in for Jared today. He's back on Monday, and it's opening day in Major League Baseball. Sound the trumpets from a man, TD. That is right. What's up? Good to see you.
It's good to be seen, man, and this start to the baseball season is bittersweet. I always like to see my Mets get down, but it's still tough for me to get through the Edwin Diaz thing. But hey, man, that's what I got you for.
That's right.
Keep me off the ledge.
I will for sure, always. You were at the owners meetings earlier this week, and I know that was exciting for you. Usually on Thursdays we have the TD Power Hour at 3, but we're just going to do the whole show, so that should be fun.
It's buy one get two free.
That's right.
That's
right. We'll go to 5 o'clock today when we turn things over to Predators coverage as they'll take on the Pittsburgh Penguins later on tonight. So looking forward to that. So just kind of give us a glimpse of some takeaways you had from the owners' meetings. I know some rule changes came out of that, but you had the opportunity to talk to Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon, who were both there.
Yeah, I think you're just further seeing the synergy that these guys have. And it's really interesting just hearing both of them talk about the guys that were brought on. I love what Mike Vrabel said about Sean Murphy-Bunting. He actually likened it to his own situation where he went from Pittsburgh to New England as a guy who was in the rotation and then became the man, change the scenery, what that did. And he said that that's something that he thinks may benefit Sean Murphy-Bunting. And then just looking at the opportunities, there's big ones for all of these guys, and that's a theme. I actually wrote about that, and it was great that came out on Monday, and then Mike Vrabel spoke kind of along those lines with guys getting up, Aziz Alshire, Andre Dillard at left tackle, and obviously Daniel Brunskill. And he even touched on Luke Gifford being a guy that may be coming off the edge and playing inside as well. So that was a good thing. As far as with Rand Carthon, a lot of that was interesting conversation because just the way he handled the Byard stuff, the way he handled, my question about Derrick Henry. I asked him about that, just as far as, like, do you go into damage control?
Yeah.
And
it's like, are there hurt feelings and bruised egos and those things?
Yeah. And then even with Byard, he was like, man, it was never something that was requested. Yeah. The request to be released. Didn't touch whether or not he was approached about a pay cut, which we know happened. Yeah, right. It's kind of understood that that's what happened, but yeah. So it was interesting from that perspective, just getting to sit down and talk to those guys. I actually got to talk to Coach Art too, Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I saw that.
Asked him about Charles London, and we'll get into that later when we talk about Anthony Richardson. That's one thing I think will help if that were to happen.
I sent you what I wanted to get into today. Yeah. I brought this up several times, and now I'll say it to your face. You were right about Jalen Hurts, and you remember doing Chase and TD with me that I was not sold. I was like, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. And you kept talking him up and telling me why, and it's like, all right, we'll see. You've turned out to be right. and I know that you are high on Anthony Richardson, and so I've basically said, TD, sell me. You got to sell me on him.
Right
Tell
now?
me why. Tell me why. Well, not yet. I mean, we'll get
Okay.
into it later. But something you mentioned when we started this, the guys that they have brought in on free agency, the first guy with a lot of these that come to mind is Delanie Walker. When the Titans signed Delanie Walker, Delanie Walker was not well known around the league. He had, played in San Francisco, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. He was tight end 2. Comes here, you see what he becomes, and he's, one of the greatest tight ends in Titans history.
Yeah.
And is beloved. I feel like they have potentially signed some Delanie Walkers, guys that were, in the 2-hole on their team. I mean, Andre Dillard was a guy that you've been talking about before before free agency opened. He's one that I think could fit that. So I am very curious with these signings, these cost-effective signings that they have made.
The one I think that's going to have the biggest impact, I think Arden Key.
Yeah, dude, I like Arden Key.
Being used correctly and getting the right amount of reps, snaps. Yeah.
That guy's a dog, man.
He is. Yeah, he has it in him. You do the X-ray, you'll see.
Oh, yeah.
it. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Right? That pit bull head.
And when he did his introductory press conference, and he was asked about Jacksonville, and when he smiled and said, "We play him twice a year," I was like, "Oh, that's the kind of guy I want."
Yeah, you always want motivated guys.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the league, they're motivated, but you always want guys who have like a little extra chip, a little extra edge. And it seems like he's somebody that brings that. The thing that I really like, so you look, I want to say the last 6 weeks of the season, he had 25 pressures, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
That was second only to Nick Bosa, and we know what Nick Bosa won. And here's the thing: those 25 pressures, the snaps weren't as high as Nick Bosa or most other regular. I mean, you got Tavon Walker and Josh Allen in front of him, but he's coming in situations. It reminds me a lot of back in the day. I guess you could call it back in the day, 2011, I want to say, Alden Smith's rookie year with the 49ers. Wasn't a starter, but he came in, and that joker had like 14 sacks in a situational role.
Right.
I think, now I'm not saying Arden Key is going to get 14 sacks, but I could see that going to double digits, getting to play more, and not being just a situational guy. And then, by the way, he does bring, speed to power, coming off the edge as well. So you could put him hand in the dirt, but I think he's primarily a stand-up rusher. And you saw what he did to Dennis Daly in that highlight tape.
So you like him to essentially replace Bud Dupree?
Essentially, that's what it is. A lot of people are saying DeMarcus Walker, and I could see that. I'm curious if Terrell Williams and Ryan Crow are going to use him on the inside, because he does have that length and that suddenness, which can give you some effectiveness on the inside, in the phone booth, so to speak. But I really think him coming off the edge, that's where his danger is going to be. So that's why I feel that he's more of a replacement for Bud Dupree.
Well, and what's interesting is with where they are in the draft order, picking at 11, they are in that position where, Floyd always taught me, don't draft for need.
Absolutely not.
So they'll have their draft board. They'll have the guys they like. If one of the guys they like is there, then they take him at 11 no matter what the position is, whether that's quarterback, wide receiver, O-line, D-line, doesn't matter. I think that's what they're going to do, unless they feel like they could move back, get extra draft assets, and then still fill what they want to get.
Right. And one guy that you didn't mention in that group was Tyreek Wilson, who you're starting to see mocked. I'm not totally for that. I get it. You're drafting on potential. But I will say this, Ryan Crow was at Iowa State. He is the outside linebackers coach. He was at Iowa State for Will McDonald IV's workout. And McDonald IV, he has some production. He was misused. I mean, the guy's like 240, and he's playing zero sometimes. Like, no, you shouldn't be 240 and head up over the center. I don't care how much you like to do it. You shouldn't.
No.
So he was misused that time, but I know that they like him. You look at Derek Hall out of Auburn. That's another guy I know that they like. From when Clinton McMillan got to work with him, now he's the assistant. When I do my kickball videos, he's the one throwing the kickball at the D lineman, knocking it down. He got to be a part of the staff there at the Senior Bowl. He worked with McDonald. He also worked with Hall, and I know there was a good relationship just in talking to Derek Hall, he told me there was a good relationship there. There's interest in him also.
Yeah, so like I said, I just feel like they're in a really good spot that with what they've done in free agency. And, I want to get your thoughts on, I kind of had this view of, all right, they're trying to save some money, save some cash for the stadium and kind of looking ahead and things like that. And PK, Paul Kaharski, was on the morning show earlier this week and said that he kind of went into the owners' meetings thinking that too after conversations that he had. Yes. And I think you've had a lot of the same conversations. That's not the case. So it's simply now my view is, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, Rand Carthon has come in, look at this, and go, all right, look, we got to pay the credit card. So let's just pay the credit card now, and then we're going to have more to work with as we move on.
Because also remember, the cap is going to go up. This is this is a transitional year. There's no getting around it. It's a transitional year. Now, sometimes teams in transitional years, they have a good year.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
It's still not a great division. Now, Jacksonville's going to be better, but it's still not a great division.
It's not a walk in the park. Like, you can't say, hey, the Chiefs are going to win. You can't say that for the Jaguars. They had a good year, without a doubt, but you can't just outright say that. So even though it is a transitional year, they're still going to compete. But the main thing is, okay, our eye is really long-term. We're not running a 100-meter dash. We're running the 400 right now.
So along those lines, because it's a transitional year and because they have one guy in particular on the roster, that's why I'm kind of interested in a certain position, hint, hint. We'll discuss that coming up next. He's Teron Davenport, Chase McCabe in today for Jared Stillman. You can always weigh in 615-737-1025. That's our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The crowd is standing on its feet. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Join 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament, benefiting Souls for Souls, June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs.
See the ball.
Support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. Sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf.
Tools of the Game, brought to you by Northern Tool and Equipment. Whether you're spraying down the shop or getting winter's grime off your own home, a pressure washer says you're serious about spring cleaning. From all-electric Power Horse to Honda-powered North Star models, Northern Tool and Equipment has the right machine for any type of clean.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Nissan South. Have you ever thought to yourself, buying a car online? That sounds like a nightmare. But fear not, my friends. With Newton FastPass, it's easier than catching a leprechaun. In fact, our system is so user-friendly that even a leprechaun can do it. And let me tell you, those little guys are notoriously bad with technology. Also, with Newton FastPass, you're practically guaranteed to get a great deal. It's like finding a 4-leaf clover in a field of overpriced cars. And who doesn't love a good deal? I mean, I'd be willing to bet that even the most skeptical among us would feel lucky to snag a great deal on a new car. That's not all. When you use Newton FastPass, we'll throw in a free leprechaun to help you navigate the process. And trust me, these little guys know their way around a car deal. Just be sure to keep an eye on them because they can be a little mischievous. So what are you waiting for? Visit NewtonNissanSouth.com and join the ranks of lucky car buyers. You might even feel like you're living in your own personal pot of gold. And remember, with Newton FastPass, you're always in luck.
Men, this is Evan Bass with the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and I've been helping men with sexual health issues for many years. I've seen the pain and anxiety that men walk into the clinic with when erectile dysfunction is affecting them. And I also know the heartache and difficulty it can bring to their partner. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've been successfully treating men for ED for many years now. We've seen the amazing impacts that those treatments have on a man's confidence and positivity. And we've seen the wonderful things those treatments also do for a man's relationship. That's why I'm pleased to announce that we are now offering the same great services we offer at our Nashville clinic at our new location in Franklin, which will make it much more convenient for those men living south of Nashville to get treated. So call us today and book your appointment at our Midtown location or at our new clinic in Cool Springs. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
Progressive presents 10 things on a food truck owner's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Stocking the fridge, prepping the stations, finding employees that get along well, finding employees that actually do their job. Looking at you, Gary. Balancing the books, balancing the flavors, having a fresh menu and fresh produce and fresh meat, but never a fresh mouth. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Andre Dillard, is a player that we feel like his best football is in front of him with a new opportunity. Very skilled pass protector, which is something that we have to improve on. We have to be able to protect our quarterback. Bad things happen. We've all seen it. We've always talked about it. So I was excited to be able to add him.
There you go, Mike Vrabel at the owners' meetings earlier this week at the coaches' breakfast. Back here, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman. Mike Vrabel there said protecting the quarterback. Got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to be the quarterback? Well, I believe it's going to be Ryan Tannehill. And I think that is a good thing. But what I was kind of hinting at with you, do you think if the right guy is there at 11 or thereabouts within striking distance, let's put it that way, would it make sense to go ahead and get the QB of the future, because then you could almost Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes it this year, guy doesn't touch the field, have him be the backup, which I know stuff can happen, but if they pass this quarterback rule, which I really hope they do, where they could have 3, that changes things too. But have the guy be Ryan's backup and then turn the keys over to him next year. Would this be the year, because of the situation they're in with Tannehill, to do it?
That's a good question. I would say that's a really good question.
And does it depend on who it is? I mean,
it definitely depends on who it is. I think you only consider it if it's Stroud or Young. That's it.
That's it.
Because when you're selecting those guys, they have potential. But those are guys that will come in. They could play immediately if you want them to. But there are guys you're not. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, you're drafting on because you got to wipe your mouth after watching them work out.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You watch the Kentucky-Florida game, and Will Levis throws a ball 60 yards on a rope. Drop over the shoulder. Yeah. You're like, oh.
You see those plays, and you're like, I fall in love with the guy.
You watch the LSU game and see Anthony Richardson evade the whole team and break a tackle and run into the end zone. Or you see him throw a beautiful post right over the shoulder, just like Levis did. And you're like, I could do something with that. But C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, they're consistent. You see them week in and week out balling.
So you think those two guys are sure things?
I would say as close. I would say as close to it as possible. I would say, and the thing about, I love Jordan Reed's analogy. And as a Braves fan, I'm sure you could relate to this because you've gotten to see so many outstanding pitchers.
Yep.
He likened C.J. Stroud to an ace pitcher, like a Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine. Just makes it look really easy.
Put it wherever he wants it.
And puts it wherever they want, but just makes it look so easy. That's how C.J. Stroud is. And that's what's so attracting, that the accuracy it's crazy. It's crazy.
So, and Will Levis, I kind of was starting to drink the Kool-Aid, and then I've read the reports that he doesn't interview well, and I do think that that's important. Like, you got to be able to conduct yourself. Like, if he's coming off super cocky or whatever, then that's a concern. But I also want to know how much of that is he's getting coached up of like, hey man, you got to go in there and own the interview. Mm-hmm. And some guys, when they try too hard to be confident, it comes off wrong, comes off cocky. like, how much of it is that, or how much of it that just he thinks highly of himself and thinks he's maybe a little better than he is?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Finding that difference.
Yeah.
That hair difference of cocky and confidence. That was the thing that I loved the most about Jalen Hurts. Was you could talk to him and you're like, yeah, this dude feels like he's the man, and he is the man.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's someone you could tell will go into a huddle of 10 other guys, and say, come on, we're going this way, and they're going to go. I don't get that same, but see, I haven't interacted with Levis the way I interacted with Hurts. That's the difference, because you have to be careful that you don't have – it's just like in the program, right? Or not the program, draft day. Remember the quarterback, and he was the greatest. Like, he was all of that. But then it was like, okay, he had a birthday party and none of his teammates showed up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to be careful of that cockiness as opposed to the confidence. I think that's something that's really going to come out as you do the top 30 visits. You lay the foundation at the combine, and you have the top 30 visits. You have the conversations after the workouts. That's when that stuff really comes out.
So with Pro Day today, with Florida, Ren Carthon's there. Vrabel went to Tennessee. And now I laughed that supposedly a lot of the scouts got there early so they could watch Joe Milton practice for the Vols, who will be their starting quarterback.
Got to take advantage.
He's got a cannon.
Yes, he does.
Now, the accuracy
right.
needs some work. But I mean, like a guy like him, and I said this earlier on Chase and Michelle, I do wonder how much getting benched, losing the job to Hendon Hooker, having that staying with the program. He could have left. He could
respect.
He stayed there. He stayed with Josh Heupel, stayed with his coaches, and just learned and got better. How much that will benefit him. And when you saw him at the end of the year and then the Orange Bowl, I mean, there were signs of improvement with him.
Yeah.
I respect, and I bet scouts and NFL coaches look at that and go, okay, I respect that.
Right, absolutely. And I think you have to respect it. And that's some of the – you look at, other players that have stayed. That was one of the big things about Jalen Hurts, staying and getting better at Alabama and then transferring, You do respect that. Anthony Richardson, though, is just with – I know we're talking about Joe Milton, but Anthony, like, that's on my mind after seeing the pro day. And it just –
You like this guy.
You just think of the upside, man. That's the thing that you think of the upside. It's like, well, if you could get all that harnessed and going in the right direction and doing right, you got something.
here's what I'll say to you before we even get deep dive into this. If this was last year, I'd say heck no, because I wouldn't trust that version of the coaching staff to do what needed to be done to develop him into an NFL quarterback.
I agree.
I believe this is the best coaching staff that Mike Vrabel has had since he's been here. And that's no disrespect to Arthur Smith or other guys, but I think having Tim Kelly, who I thought did a really nice job in Houston with Deshaun Watson.
With Davis, Fripp, and Mills.
Yeah, with him too. The key to me, though, is going to be Charles London. I think Charles London – Pat O'Hara has his strengths. That's why he wanted to keep him. That's why he has him in an analyst role. I feel like Charles London can be the developer. Yeah. And that's what they need. And whether that's for Malik Willis or Anthony Richardson or anybody else that they bring in, that's what they need to do. I've listened to Derek say it for over a year that they're not developing that position. And even, taking a veteran like Tannehill and teaching him new things. I mean, you always want to evolve. So that, I think, is going to be the key and why – I would entertain the idea right now of Richardson.
Yeah, I think you do entertain it. And the real thing that he has – so there's a couple things, actually. I talked to Coach Art at the Combine, and Charles London, he was big in the development of Desmond Ridder, who I felt was the most NFL-ready quarterback out of all the guys last year. But he was big on that. And, I mean, you saw Ridder come in various starts, and he had a solid year. Nothing spectacular, but he had a solid year. But he was a third-round pick, and you got him ready to go. And then you go and you look at the Combine, the Senior Bowl, and I love the fact that NFL Network, ESPN, they have these guys kind of mic'd up so you can kind of hear. I remember Lou Riddick just said, hey, look, listen to the way he talks to the quarterbacks. And just the communication, the back and forth, and making sure that there was a clear understanding. I'm not saying Pat O'Hara doesn't do that. I think, personally, Pat O'Hara is a really good coach.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying you have other people now that are able to do that. Like this, as you said, is probably the strongest offense because you have so many minds. You got Tim Kelly. You got, the running backs coach. You got Rob Moore in there too. To get the receivers and the quarterbacks on the same page as far as understanding each other's body language and all of those. You got Tony Dews, who played tight end at a high level in college, working with the tight. There's a lot going on. So I think this is a good situation. I don't know for sure that it's the best situation. You know what I mean? I want to see Anthony Richardson go number 1 overall. I want him to go to Carolina and be there with Josh McCown, be there with Frank Wright and that crew. I want him to go there. That's where I want him to go.
Do you think that's going to happen? Or
there's definitely interest.
Yeah.
It seems to me like they like Stroud.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I gathered out there at the owners' meetings as well.
I'll tell you this. I believe this pick is, and it'll take a year or two, but this is where we're really going to see how good of a head coach Frank Reich really is. Because he gets to get his quarterback. Mm-hmm. He never got to do that in Indy. Irsay wouldn't let him. He didn't get to do that. They'd bring in dudes off the street that had no treads on the tire and, all that stuff. And, I mean, he made it work best he could. But that now you get to see – because I've always liked Frank Reich. I thought Frank Reich did a heck of a job in Philly. Nobody did as a quarterback. I think he can develop. But now he finally gets to do it with his guy. And I agree with you. I think it's C.J. Stroud is who it's going to end up being. But and I forgot about McCown being there too, which I think is underrated. But I think
McCown said, when they were talking about playing horse, he said, "Well, we'll play when you get home to Carolina." That's what he said, or something along those lines. So.
I like that. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see with Frank Reich. 615-737-1025. You can ask TD questions throughout the day. We're doing power hours with TD today, not just the 3 o'clock hour like we usually do. But I want to dive in more to pro days in general, and because I've only been to one, and I was in high school when I went. But I want to kind of get your thoughts on why those are important for coaching staffs and for scouts. We'll do that coming up next here on Stillman and Company. Chase and Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back. It's baseball season, folks. And there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. Go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. Braves are kicking it off against the lowly Nationals, and I think the Nationals are probably going to win this first series because the Braves traditionally are terrible when the season opens. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat bet of up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He wrist one, they score.
And don't forget the
what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week at the Electronic Express Markdown Mania event, get instant savings of up to 40% off in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, housewares, gaming consoles, speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop the Markdown Mania sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rexrode, 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle, 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company, 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman. 615-737-1025. That's our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll get to your phones in a second if you have some questions for Teron as we go along today. But pro days in general. So when I was in high school, I did like a job shadow with one of the TV stations in town, and it was when Vanderbilt was having their pro day, and some guy named Jay Cutler was coming out, which was
big on.
Oh yeah, and so I got to kind of witness that, but I don't remember a whole lot about it and what goes into it. But why are pro days maybe more beneficial to a team than say the combine would be?
I don't know.
Or is it different?
It's different. I tell you what, it's more beneficial in that you get to see the guy in a more relaxed situation. The combine is good because you get to see them under adversity. Like, how are you going to perform when things are not
normal?
Yeah, it's not geared. It's geared against you, right? So that's the combine. It's also good. And I think, we saw that with Traylon Burks, where there was not really the best initial impression, but then through follow-ups, they really got to know him and like him more. So it's an opportunity to do that. It's an opportunity for your coaches to be – because, look, Mike Vrabel, Charles London, Pat O'Hara, et cetera – they're not watching film on these guys as much as the scouts are, right? So you have a series of meetings throughout the year, throughout the process once, the season's over, and you gradually get to know a guy more. So then you may have seen a game that you didn't see before or have, discovered something that you didn't discover before. So now you go back and you go follow it up. A lot of people make a whole big fuss about the throws and things that they make, like the Zach Wilson one. Okay, yeah, it was a great throw. It's designed to be that way.
Right.
Yeah, he has great arm strength.
That's the highlight
That's
reel.
a positive.
Yeah.
But let's see how things are when the stuff is not so set up. So there's good and bad in the pro days, really.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of what I gathered from it, that they're gonna show you the best stuff. It's like the highlight film, that you put on Huddle. Like, it's all the best stuff. You're not putting the bad stuff, even though you got to see everything if you're a scout. Now, one thing that I am curious of, because one of the big high marks for Ran Carthon when he was with the 49ers was he was the guy that was going to find the Brock Purdy's and the Elijah Mitchells and the guys that don't stand out to you right away, that he's doing that deep dive. Well, now he's a general manager, and so, how much of that studying is he doing, for day 3 in the draft? What kind of staff does he have in place that's going to help him and where he can pass some of those skills on to them, where they can find some of those diamonds in the rough? Because that, to me, is almost just as important as hitting at the top of the draft.
Yeah, well, you notice when I said the guys that don't watch film during the season as much, I didn't mention Ran Carthon.
No, you did not. No, you
I didn't
did
mention
not.
John Robinson. You know what I mean? And I know from talking to J-Rob a lot, I mean, there was he was out and about. And even Ryan Cowden, I give him credit. There's times where these guys on Saturday are at, Pittsburgh versus North Carolina, and then after that game, they're catching a flight to wherever to be with the team. You know what I mean? So they're on the road watching. So I think that really, seeing somebody in person, that's always important, because that's when you could feel their speed, you could feel their power, because you're seeing it in person. I think really what it comes down to with Ran, and he's so you look at Ran Carthon. This is a guy that was in high school writing mock drafts and projecting players and even evaluating them. You know what I mean? It's something that he's done, And then the other thing is with him, what I really like is the communication part of it, where he's able to make you understand quickly, okay, this guy, if you haven't watched him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this guy, like Nick Chubb, for example, he was talking about Nick Chubb, and this is a story I heard when he was, from the previous time at San Francisco. He was talking about Nick Chubb, and he said that, Nick Chubb reminds you of Curtis Martin, like just a steady runner. He has home run ability, but he's someone that's just going to produce and produce and produce. It's similar to Curtis Martin. So you get an understanding of a guy as a player because of that quick analogy. You know what I mean? So I think when you look at that, and then you look at the way, and he said it to Jim Wyatt, this staff, they're already on the same page. Like, it just so happened that on their board, Daniel Brunskill was high on the free agent board. It just so happened that Azeez Al-Shire was high on the free agent board. Arden Key. Now, the fact that these guys had connections to Ran from the 49ers days, that just made it even better. But that lets you know that they're already on the same page.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I feel like Ran is the kind of guy, and I think John was this way too, that you go to Vrabel and go, okay, I want Mike Vrabel to describe the perfect Mike Vrabel player at every position. Give me a sense of what that looks like to you, and then I can go get it.
It goes even a step further, Chase. He had the position coaches make a cut-up of the traits, players with the traits that they want.
Yeah.
Each of the position players, coaches, they made cut-ups. They had cut-ups done, and they took it to Ran. So now not only are you hearing it, but you're seeing it. And
I like that.
So, the thing I like above all else about what he's done, and he said this consistently, it was his goal. He didn't go in there and just take and turn things upside down. He said over and over, it's easier for me to adjust to you guys than all you guys adjust to me.
Well, I go back to right when he got hired, Jeff Fisher was on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. And Ran had worked with Jeff with the Rams, right when they moved to L.A. and everything. And Jeff basically said that same thing of he could go watch a guy, and I'm paraphrasing, but he could basically do that deep study into the type of player we wanted, and then spit out like 3 or 4 guys like, hey, you want this, this, this.
Yeah, download it.
Yeah,
quickly.
And that I think is just huge. And sometimes it's different being in a scout chair or not the GM, and then it changes with the GM. But you don't lose that. I have traits that made me really good as a producer or on-air host that they don't go away now that I'm a PD.
You carry it over too. There's something that could be said about the been there, done that perspective, and that's why you look at some of these guys. Ran has been in the league.
Yeah, that's the other part.
Understands it, right? And he even mentioned one of the things that he learned from being on the team with Peyton Manning, right?
Oh yeah.
Peyton Manning expects you to know. You better not know just you got to know everything. That's the expectation. He knew everything. So when you're able to look at stuff from a broad picture as opposed to just from a running back perspective, you get a better understanding of how things are supposed to work, and then you carry that over to the scouting side of things, and you're able to grasp it better.
It's funny when I'm having conversations with like an intern or young producer or somebody that I'm wanting to bring on board. They'll say, "Hey, what's some advice you can give me?" And I'll say, "Learn it all. Be a sponge." That's what I was told, and I pride myself that I could sit where Ian's sitting. I could sit where I'm sitting now. I could go over to the Buzz and run a shift over there if I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, to your point, Rand Carthon, from Peyton Manning's perspective, is, yeah, you're a running back, but if you need to go play receiver, go play receiver. If you need to play fullback and block, you need to know how to do that. Not that you would, but knowing what they know, I think is huge. And Vrabel operates that way.
Yeah,
that's Vrabel's mentality too.
I joke with Coach Vrabel multiple times about how much fun I have following him around practice. Like, I practice every time there's a Titans practice that day. I'm getting 15,000 steps. You know what I mean? Where you get to go to the whole practice, and I would follow him, go to the receivers, go to the running backs, go there, and he's just dropping gems. I really like that about them, but him rather. But with Rand Carthon, look, there's a lot, but I don't want to paint him out to be like some type of perfect. I mean, it still has to be proven.
Sure.
Right? Right now, everything is looking good, but it still has to be proven. So I don't want to, like I said, just paint it like, hey, listen, Titans fans, you're guaranteed to have. It still has to be proven in the new role, because you can know everything, but then get in that role and it doesn't come together the way it should. So we have to make sure that we bring balance to it.
So I'm going to ask you a question coming up next that I'm going to ask you now, and then I'm probably going to ask you after the draft, and then I'm probably going to ask you again once we get into the season. But I think it's an interesting one. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's an interesting one. He's Teron Davenport. I'm Chase McCabe, in for Jared today on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are your home for every big pass.
Kevin Harvick takes over the race lead.
Big wreck.
Trouble turn 2. One car is around and hard into the outside wall.
And big win.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500.
Yeah! Woo!
Catch every lap of NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ever tried to shop for a diamond online? They all look great on the computer screen, but the fact is, most reputable jewelers like Genesis Diamonds wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
These are the diamonds that nobody wants to buy. We call them the B-quality diamonds.
That's Genesis owner Boaz Ramon, who says that even diamonds with the same grade and specs on paper can be very different when you see them up close in person, especially the ones from online dealers.
Those diamonds gonna look always cloudy or dirty. It's like you're wearing your glasses and there is fingerprints all over the glass. You just don't understand, or nobody told you that the material that this diamond was cut from was not the best material.
Why risk it? At Genesis Diamonds, they screen thousands of diamonds and only choose the best of the best for maximum brilliance, sparkle, and luster. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
I'm Boaz Ramon, and my accent is always on value.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knesvik here for Superbook Sports. And listen, make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, check out some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Bon appetit. Take some Titans.
Derrick Henry.
Some Preds.
Roman Yossi.
Even some hoops.
Light fires. Wow.
Put it in a blender. And what do you have? Chase and Michelle.
Pretty incredible.
Call or text and weigh in.
The fastest 2 hours in sports radio. Weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What Rand did for us is he evaluated players. He gave us his honest opinion of the players. When I get Rand aside, a couple of days before the draft, and we'd shut the door and go through the board. He knew the board. He knew exactly how the board was, and he respected the board. And when you say to somebody, Rand, would you take so and so over so and so if we were picking right here? And you go, oh yeah, he's gonna stand by his opinion. He's gonna stand by his statements. He's done the work. For a fact that he's seen this particular prospect. And in addition to the player personnel aspects, whether it's the draft or it's pro free agency and all those things, Rand, you could tell, had that unique ability to say, for example, hey, look, we got a starting corner here, for example. This guy in the later rounds going to project into and he'll be the nickel. He will challenge the starter. And if we can't, because of free agency or whatever the scenario is, re-sign our starter, he'll step up and we won't have any drop-off in production. So, he understands the process.
That was former Titans coach Jeff Fisher several months ago when Rand Carthon was hired, and that's what I was referencing. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday. So I'm going to ask you this question in a second, but I'm going to go to Chris first because he's been waiting patiently, and he's got a question on a draft prospect. Chris, welcome in.
Hey, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me today.
Absolutely. What's your question?
Well, I'm going to ask the question, but first I wanted to speak on yesterday's radio show with Caroline and G-Mace. I thought that was one of the best radio shows I've ever heard in my entire life. My dad feels the same way.
Oh, wow.
With everything that happened in your show on Monday. And this affects – I'm 2 hours away from Nashville. I live in Paris, Tennessee. But this affects all of us, not just those in Nashville, but all around the surrounding area. And I think it's a beautiful thing, the way you guys have conducted yourselves this week. And you guys, you have to put on a sports show. So you have to take our minds off that. You guys have done a fantastic job, and I just want to say thank you for that first.
Well, I appreciate those words, and I'll pass that along to Caroline and D-Mace, but thanks so much for saying that, Chris.
Yes, sir. Now, my question was, it's about Lucas Van Ness, who is an Iowa edge rusher. I'm a Tennessee fan in every aspect. I'm a Vols fan. I'm a Titans fan. I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan. I'm a Nashville Predators fan. But this guy, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa as an edge rusher, I think he's the next J.J. Watt. I really do. Now, I know he's not a prospect for the Titans, per se, because we're looking for an offensive lineman. If we go outside of offensive lineman, I'm going to be disappointed. I think we need the O-line. I know we did really good in free agency with some of the things that we did there, but we need offensive linemen and receivers. But this guy, Lucas Van Ness, man, I think that whoever picks him is going to have one hell of a prospect for the rest of his career. I think he's going to be really, really great. And I'll hang up now. I'll let you guys discuss that. Thank you for your time, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Chris. You too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So what do you think about Van Ness?
Yeah, well, anybody who has a name Hercules from his teammates, you got to love that.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I think, and I said it, when you mentioned him, he reminds me a lot of Ryan Kerrigan, where you'll get some splash plays, but I think he's a consistent player. He's strong. The one thing I would like to see him do is, so it's very similar to Tyree Wilson, where relying on the strength and that bull rush. You got to counter that, right? And so that's what he would have to do. But he's strong against the run. He's a guy that's going to get you sacks. So it's a good option. He's someone that I would say has a lower floor than a lot of the other prospects. I don't know that the ceiling is as high, but you just what you're getting. You know what I mean? You're getting a guy who's just going to be a consistent player for you. He's always going to do, what's necessary. And I like that. But is he a true, high impact player? I don't know.
Okay. Well, something we will find out. All right. You ready for my question?
Yeah.
Here we go. And look, I know this is going to evolve. This is going to change. You have just started the process of getting to know Ran Carthon, but I think that people, when you make a change, whether it's head coach or GM, people are going to go, okay, so what's going to be the biggest difference? Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to point to the bad with J-Rob, the missed draft picks and trading AJ. They, for some reason, want to forget that, he also drafted Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard and, and drafted AJ Brown. I mean, there's a lot of good that came with him too. But from your early conversations, your early observations, what do you think is going to be the biggest difference between Ran Carthon and John Robinson that could stand out to people?
I think it's the way other people talk about him, players and that type. He's not far removed from being in the league, right? And there's just something to the relatability, right? It's a different level of relatability, and that's not just to black players. You know what I mean? Like you look at Daniel Brunskill, he and that was a part of why Brunskill came here. So it's not just culturally, and that's like the easy thing to say, but it's just from a relatability standpoint. I think that I don't want to say empathy because I feel like J-Rob was able to relate. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this.
Is it like this? Like I can see, because I agree with you, and I kind of relate that to Vrabel. Mm-hmm. I can see Vrabel and Carthon sitting at the desk, and they're one of them starts telling a story, and Vrabel's like, "Man, look, you played for Dungy. Bill used to make us do this during practice, and we would run this type of drill, and it's like they can have that kind of conversation,
right?
That maybe he and John couldn't to that extent. What
it is the ability to connect.
Right.
I think that's the main thing. And one of the things that Rand said when PK and I sat down with him, it was one of the last things that he said. He was like, everybody sees this big macho jock type of aura, like they connect that with Mike Vrabel, but they don't realize how smart he is. That was a key thing, and being able to decipher that quickly and have that that shows you the level of respect that they have for each other. And one of the things that I asked Vrabel, if you remember, was, hey, what is it about Rand that makes you think that this is going to work, and it'll be that key word that they always use, collaboration.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Vrabel said was the pedigree, the background. He was brought up in football. You know what I mean? So you have it right there. So at least from coach to GM, a little bit of a different. But I think from GM to player, and the thing you have to remember, I talked to John Lynch about this at the Combine. It was actually at his podium. And he said that Rand was one of the guys that they would, use, hey, look, we need you to go fix this.
Right.
You know what I mean? That right there lets you know the connectability.
So what's funny about Vrabel, and you mentioned that kind of the stereotype people have for him. And, I've always looked at him as he's business. The players like him because, he can speak their language and live that and everything. But, the macho part was certainly, something that came out. But there was one little thing that happened recently that I saw that kind of painted him in a different light for me. And I mean this in a really good way, and you're going to laugh. When he did the Zoom, when he was introducing or talking about the new additions to the coaching staff, he was in his office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things that I noticed was he had candles. And I was like, my man's a candle guy. I'm a candle guy. I like that because I like my office to smell good. It's kind of peaceful. It puts me in a good mindset, clears my head. And like there's, you might have some people that go like, dude, having candles, like, come on.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, I like it. And I saw that and I'm like, all right, I can relate to that with Mike Vrabel. I respect that. And I brought that up with Michelle and she was laughing and like one, she didn't know I was a candle guy. But it's stuff like that you don't see.
You wouldn't expect.
And you don't see it.
Yeah.
And I get it, but it's like that peels back the curtain a little bit of, hey, he's just a normal dude that happens to play football and now coach football.
And the thing that he said that always stood out to me is when AJ came out, about how he contemplated taking his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Mike Vrabel spoke, and he was like, what we do in this building, like if you ask how you're doing, actually take the time to listen to that person. That's a connection.
Yeah.
Right. And then even, I say it all the time, my daughter, Devin, my youngest, she's 14. And I remember she came with me when the community cleanup after the tornado.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Vrabel met her. He met her in that was 2020? 2020?
It was right before COVID and everything shut down. So, yeah.
2023, training camp. Hey, Teron, how's your daughter doing?
Yeah.
I'm just a reporter. You know what I mean? Like, you remember. So I think those type of things, it's minute, but that's how you establish a connection.
Like
he
knows.
I mean?
He knows the people that care about his team.
Yeah.
Like and he cares about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never forget you and I were walking out of the facility one time, and I haven't been around Mike all that much. Met him, a couple times, but I'm not there every day like you are. Mm-hmm. I'm here a lot of times, but we were walking out after it was when Dean Pease retired. You and I are walking out of the meeting room, and he's in the hallway, and he was like, "What's up, guys? And just kind of shooting the breeze with us for a second." I mean, it's like that's the kind of thing you don't see on a daily basis, but it's important to him.
Yeah,
and I think that is, that is really, really cool. Coming up next, this is where the sales job comes into place because there's one former GM that thinks very, very high of Anthony Richardson. TD's going to sell me on it. We'll talk about that coming up even more in just a few minutes. It's Stillman and Company, Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
They played tough. They came back and they still lost.
And your source for Nashville sports.
Yes, you want to have a fire sale, but who's going to buy those players?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to JarrettFire.com. JARRETT Fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willie Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity equity lines, car loans. Consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now. See what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Gary Ashton here. People walk up to me all the time and say, "Don't sell without the intel." This message couldn't be more true. Right now, it's a fantastic time to buy or sell your home in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. No one has more intel than the Gary Ashton team. So what is this intel we keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without stagings or showings? Intel on where to find your next home so that you can sell your current home while the market is hot? And intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity. For more intel, visit GaryAshton.com, where we can give you the insight and the most up-to-date real estate intel in Nashville. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate team of the Nashville Predators. Get the confidence to sell your home and find the dream address without the stress. Visit us today at GaryAshton.com. That's GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight up in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. Nashville is looking to build off the 2-1 win over Boston on Tuesday. Assistant coach Dan Heino was on Robbie and Rexrode this morning talking about trying to carry over the momentum.
We need to use every ounce of opportunity that we can get, and if you can use the momentum from Boston's win into tonight first period, then perfect. The key for us is that our young guys can't sit and watch Malkin and Crosby.
The Preds did announce the signing of college free agent defenseman Jake Livingstone to a 1-year entry-level contract. Pre-game action for Preds versus Pens begins at 5 with puck drop at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. The Tennessee Vols are having their pro day today. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is in attendance. Titans GM Rand Carthon is down in Florida for the Gators pro day. It's been reported the Titans are scheduled to meet with Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. Today's opening day for Major League Baseball. The Nashville Sounds will begin play tomorrow. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company delivered by TriStar Moving, 5-star movers with TriStar movers with 5-star service. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport with you in for Jared Stillman. Today we're broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. Ian Safar is here as well. Now it is technically the TD Power Hour. doing things a little different today, having power hours with Tehran. But as we usually do at the end of this hour, we'll take your questions for TD. So you can get those in on the text line, 615-737-1025. Jason Fitt's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, so looking forward to that. So the pro day at Florida is today. Anthony Richardson, all eyes on him. We talked about it briefly in the first hour, that you'd like to see him go to Frank Reich and go to Carolina #1 overall. You're very high on Anthony Richardson. I'm kind of in the camp that I'm like not so sure. And I think the big reason is just experience. Like I look at somebody like Will Levis, who had over 40 starts in his career at Kentucky. And I think Anthony Richardson has, 13? And so that concerns me. But, I mean, you get that a lot in college football for sure. But can his style translate to the NFL? You think yes. Why?
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of his style translating to the NFL. I think his style, it fits it. You have guys now, you just look at the combine. You have guys who are just as big as him running 4.3s, 4.4s. You have to be able to elude pressure in the pocket. You have to be able to, take off and run. This man defense, backs are to you. Everything is covered. You got to be able to run and get that first down on 3rd and 13. You have to be able to also combine that with the ability to stand in the pocket and deliver a ball far down the field or deliver that mid-range route across the middle. Here's the thing. He could do all of that. Now, are there accuracy issues? Yeah, there are. Are there, issues with just kind of more touch? Yeah. But those are things that you could fix. And that's the upside with him. You can't coach a guy to be, 6'4", 240, I think it is. Yeah, 230, 235. You can't coach a 6'4", 235-pound guy to run the way he runs or to be athletic enough to do a backflip like he did at the end of his pro day or, have that arm to throw it the way that he can. You can't coach that, but you could bring along some of the accuracy stuff with footwork. You could bring that along, and I think that's the part that makes it so intriguing. And, yeah, I mean, you look at, the games, there's definitely been some inconsistency, but you go back to that Utah game, and it was just hold on, wait a minute. What are we watching here? Is this Cam Newton part 2? Right. But then you go to some of the other games, and it's what the heck happened against Kentucky in a game where the Vanderbilt, I mean, he had a –
that's true, and they still lost.
They still lost. And that's the thing, how do you lose to Vanderbilt? You know what I mean? And that's one of the knocks that I have on Will Levis is man, how you lose to Vanderbilt? So, yeah, it's just there's so much upside. That's what I like about it. But you have to be confident in your ability to develop them.
So you feel like, though, he's got to be in the right spot. And I know Jared threw this out that he, in his mind, with Shane Steichen taking over for the Colts, and they signed Gardner Minshew, which was part of his plan, and then you draft Anthony Richardson and you basically teach him the offense that Jalen Hurts ran in Philly. Yeah. Do you feel like that would be, and you let Minshew start all year? He's the guy. You don't worry about being good. You do your thing and you develop, and you worry about the future, which is kind of similar to what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. They let him develop before they gave him the keys to the car.
Yeah, no, you could do that. It's just the thing is you got the real fruits of that development when you brought in A.J. Brown. So you're going to have to make sure that you bring in something of that caliber to help out. But what they have already, I mean, the Colts have, some things to work with. So I don't think that would be a bad idea. You also have to remember that offensive line the Eagles have,
Yeah.
The Titans just signed one of their backups to be a starter, so you're looking at, some Hall of Fame level guys, in Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson on that line. So that definitely helped. But make no mistake about it, Jalen Hurts was just, he did stuff on his own. I think when you look at Richardson, it's just all about making it QB friendly, right? You don't have to – the other thing you have to remember, some of the calls. So there was the Mariucci, the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I still remember the play. I could draw it up myself, right? But he went through this is the setup. We got so-and-so here. We got Owens here. We got Stokes here. We got Rice here. We're going to send him a showed him the play, right? And showed him the keys, like the reads and stuff like that. Went up and he did it. He probably had 99 out of 100 things right. It's good. But the thing that you got to remember is that play call is a long play call.
Right.
At Florida, a lot of the play calls were, a lot shorter.
Right.
3-4 word. So you have to get used to. We all have seen the Chris Sims and John Gruden where Sims could not get the play call right for anything, and John Gruden was cursing him out. That's a hang-up in the development. So you want to make sure that he's able to overcome that, which, I don't think that he wouldn't be, but that is something else to look at that's not really being considered.
Why is that in the NFL that, the play calls, is it just because defensive coordinators are so smart that you got to make them longer and a little more complicated? You're having different protections and trying to tell everybody to do something all at once. Is that why they're so long? Whereas at Florida, they run it's a shorter play call.
Yeah, a lot has to do with that. And you could always make calls shorter too. If you're which is
kind of what McVay did with Goff, right? Didn't he kind of, lack of a better words, dumb it down?
Yeah, he was in his ear too.
Yeah,
telling him, look, man, you're gonna go here. This is gonna happen. He was doing that. But when you could always shorten it also using the digit system. That's one of the things where, going back to Don Coryell. So obviously you have your route tree, you have your numbers, you go left to right. You say the formation, the guys line up. If I'm on the left and I'm the X and they say 989, guess what? I got the go route. You know what I mean? So you could also do it that way. But a lot of it is there's so much, like you said, that's being dictated and okay, we use this word, that's going to mean this. And it's all coming together. And it is a little more complicated. And I remember standing during practice, right? When we got the full training camp, I would stand close to Todd Downing and hear him make the call. And he would say it, and then I would walk and try to say it back. And there were times where just what the heck? I don't remember that crap. You know what I mean? So it's interesting.
0Y spider banana or whatever it is that Gruden likes. That
spider 2Y banana.
Yeah, spider 2Y banana. That's it. He's Teron Davenport. I'm Chase McCabe. Coming up next, sticking with the quarterback conversation, because I'm wondering if, especially with this class for the most part, we're going to go back to something that I think we should. We'll discuss, get Teron's thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. That's all next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The British invasion is coming. Queen plus Adam Lambert, the Rhapsody Tour. Brian May, Roger Taylor, plus Adam Lambert, performing rock's greatest anthems, live in Nashville. Bridgestone Arena, October 25th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. For more, visit queenonline.com.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in 3 easy steps. 1. Get a free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with a check in about an hour. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
This week at the Electronic Express Markdown Mania event, get instant savings of up to 40% off in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, housewares, gaming consoles, speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop the Markdown Mania sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08 carat lab-grown round diamond with G-Color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is a bacon or sausage egg croissant plus small seasoned potatoes for $3. It's the breakfast that don't miss. So if you did miss Wendy's breakfast, don't imagine fresh cracked eggs, sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, and block out those hot, buttery, flaky croissants. Croissants don't really make a sound, but if they did, for a breakfast that don't miss, Wendy's is that breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Select a request $3 breakfast deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Anthony's arm strength is his superpower, but everything just looks so easy. As you can see, everything's so fluid. As you can see, he hit the ceiling right there.
Doggone it.
There we go. We get quarterback hitting the ceiling. As you see, he gets a big laugh right there.
Check the box. All the other quarterbacks hit the ceiling. I got to hit the ceiling too. Yeah. All right, mission accomplished. Raise the roof. There it is. Look at me. He's like, yep, throw 37.
All joking aside, this should be scripted because at some point there will be an article written about how Anthony Richardson's arm was so live he hit the roof.
There was a conspiracy theory back in the studio that you hit the roof on purpose. Can you confirm or deny that report?
Oh, yeah, I seen Will Levis do it, so I just try to up him. I want to try to put a hole through it, so.
That's from Anthony Richardson's Pro Day on SEC Network. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in for Jared today. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game. Talking about quarterbacks in this draft, and it's an interesting draft for sure when it comes to quarterbacks. But one thing that I feel like when I look at Will Levis, when I look at Anthony Richardson, maybe put Stroud and Bryce Young aside because I think they're going to be day one guys. I like when a quarterback sits for the first year. And I know why it doesn't happen as much anymore. It's because of the money and it's because, but I look at Patrick Mahomes, and that's going to be the best example that anybody can use because he sat for that first year. And it was kind of known of like, he's going to sit now. Mm-hmm. Alex Smith is the starter, and then he's going to take over. And it paid off. And I don't know if he has the career that he has right now if he doesn't do that. And because learning from Alex, learning from Andy Reid, working with those guys, I think was huge for him. And I can give you examples of quarterbacks that did that. Jake Locker did it here, and it didn't work. Now, there's a lot of other reasons there. Ken Wisenhunt had a lot to do with that, but sometimes it doesn't work. But if Marcus had sat for a year, what would that have done? For him, if Vince Young did had to come in. It's just you can look at it until you're blue in the face, but I just feel like that is so beneficial for a guy. And like you have to be disciplined as a coaching staff. You have to have a backup that can be a backup and just go, no, you're not touching the field. You're touching the practice field. That's it. You're not playing in a game. You have to learn because I really think it can pay off.
Yeah, and the situation has to be right too, because you have to be able to, like, the big thing with Willis, even though he did play in some games, they weren't able to simulate the speed in practice because they were so banged up, right? So it has to be that situation also. And I think, Mahomes is a really unique situation as well, because you're looking at a guy who was, in a quarterback environment. Andy Reid has made it clear. I mean, this dude found success with A.J. Feely. You know what I mean? So it's a good environment incubator for Patrick Mahomes to come along. I do agree in certain cases where, like, you look at Anthony Richardson, I think it would be good for him to develop under the nurturing of a guy who's clearly done it before, brought a quarterback along. Now, if you have to play him, there's stuff that you could do, like going back to 2016 with Carson Wentz. Like that, the plan was for him not to play as a rookie. Right. But all of a sudden Teddy Bridgewater has the injury, and next thing you know, Sam Bradford is in Minnesota. And Carson Wentz was laying in the field after, shooting ducks, and found out that he was the starter. And you had to do things to make it friendly for him, right? And there's different – and that's why you see, like, the way the game has evolved, where you see a lot of horizontal passing, right? Because it's done that way to make it for the quarterback to get comfortable and get in a groove. All of these guys are gifted, but the difference is when you feel that confidence and you're in that rhythm, you're just a much better player, period. So there's things that you could do to make that happen.
See, I mean, I think if Carolina took Anthony Richardson number 1 overall, even though he's the number 1 overall pick, I would still start Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I would too.
I would, because you don't have to be good. Like, they're not. They need other things. You got to build the team around Anthony Richardson. And I think so many times, and fans kind of get caught up in this, but so many times you see they go get the guy, the quarterback, and like, oh, that's the guy with the number 1 overall pick. We're going to be great now. We're going to be a playoff team. No, you got to build around him. And so it's okay to let him sit, let him learn, go get his go-to receiver, go get an offensive line that's going to protect him, and just let Andy Dalton be Andy Dalton. Yeah. And that's why you sign a guy like Andy Dalton.
He's the stopgap for you. Right. Another good example of a guy that sat, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, that's a great example. Even Brady, which is a different situation, but I mean, he was a backup to Bledsoe for a year. But Rodgers is a great one because Rodgers doesn't have a Hall of Fame career, I don't think. Now, maybe 3 years was too long for him, and they finally, had to say, Brett, you got to go.
Because he came in that game against your squad, against the Dallas Cowboys on that Thursday night, and lit it the heck up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you had to remind me of that, didn't you? But, I mean, Rodgers is one that certainly could or did benefit from that. And so there's nothing wrong with it. I remember sitting here with Floyd, and I asked him about McNair because McNair played maybe 4 games in his first 2 years, or appeared in 4 games in his first 2 years. And I said, was 2 years your plan? And he said, yes. Jeff and I agreed that he needed to sit. He needed to learn. We had Chris Chandler, was a pretty good quarterback, went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons. He could sit behind Chris Chandler. And, look, that wasn't a very good relationship, but he did, and then you let him go and do it, and he still had growing pains. But I think that's just the way to go. 615-737-1025. Kevin has a question as a Panthers fan, wants to weigh in. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Case, great job on the Stillman intro, by the way. You definitely nailed it there. Maybe a little bit better, but TD, my question for you is this. I'm a sorry Panthers fan. I've experienced heartbreak for 27 years of my life. Hopefully they go. I mean, I'm a big fan of C.J. Stroud. I hope that's the direction they go. I know we've been talking a lot about Anthony Richardson. I'm just going to go out and say I can't see where all the hype is behind him. If we're being real, we've been on the quarterback carousel for quite some time now. I just don't see what people are seeing in him to help, like where he's going to develop at. I just don't think he has a great track record from his time with Florida. He did not look good as a quarterback there. And I just don't get the hype. So I don't know. I know y'all talked about it a little bit, but maybe you guys can maybe chime in there. Thanks.
Yeah, it continues to be the traits, you know, the things that are attractive. And you see, this is one of those things. No, I'm not going to use that analogy. It's one of those things where, like, the potential allows him to get away with things that you normally be like, oh, no, I'm not touching that. You know what I mean? Because there's more. So the pros outweigh the cons, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the bad part, and you're like, okay, I know he wasn't accurate on this, but you know what? If he would have, you know, whatever it could have been mechanically that he could have done better, you're like, it could look like this. So that's really the main thing. It's the traits. It's the upside. And, I mean, look, let's face it. We know the players are confident and cocky, but guess what? Coaches are too. So they're like, yo, I'm that guy that will be able to harness all this to happen more consistently and minimize this that wasn't bad. I mean, that wasn't good.
So let's just go on the premise that the Titans get him. They get Anthony Richardson. You and I believe agree they have to nail the first. They have to nail their first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have to get it right, and that's not Rand Carthon's fault, but he's got to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
What is the risk factor if they say he falls to 11 and they take him at 11 because of knowing that, hey, we got to get this right because it's been missed a few times? What do you think the risk versus reward of taking him would be, or the percentage, I should say, risk percentage?
I would say 60-40.
So 60 it would work, 40 it wouldn't?
I'm going to go 70-30.
Okay.
I'm going to go 70-30 because I just believe in the traits that he has.
Yeah.
I really do, man. And, you know, a lot of people make the likeness to Cam Newton as far as, like, the running ability, the big arm. And there were some accuracy stuff with Cam Newton coming out, but I tell you what, he started to get to a point where he and Steve Smith were connected on that dig across the middle and those type of things. So, and Greg Olsen too. So you could, I would say 70-30. And it's just because there's so much upside. There's so much. And you also look at background. Like he has an interesting background. So you know that you're not getting a guy who, you know, is just not motivated and not looking to continue to make things right for his family and do those things. That's always something. You know, that's something of substance that you have to identify also.
Let's take Scott real quick. He wants to weigh in. Scott, welcome in.
Thanks for taking my call, fellas. I got a question for you. If you would have, what do you think was the strategy, and I like what you guys are talking about, of putting like a Willis last year on injured reserve and having Woodside be the backup last year, because Woodside would have been more ready to play if Tannehill got hurt. Wanted to see if that could have been a strategy. I know you'd have to say he had a hamstring or a toothache or something. I don't know. But if that was strategy, you wouldn't have lost, because you're trying to keep both quarterbacks and you end up losing Woodside. I'll hang up and listen to your answer on that, TD.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I felt that Woodside I thought they were going to carry 3, honestly, and I felt that Woodside would be the backup. But as you said, they did end up losing him. They carried him on the practice squad for a bit, then Arthur Smith came calling, and we saw what happened there. So, look, I think the way things happened for Willis, it was unfortunate that he got thrown in there, and, you know, the way the game was called, right? We're talking about, 10 passes. And that's just because of where he was in the development. You know, I don't think the intention was for him to play at all, you know, but they were in a situation where, hey, look, we got to put you out there. The thing I like about him is he's mentally strong. Like, he has that ability to, okay, yeah, it was messed up, but he can move on from it. You know what I mean? I like that ability. He's not someone that, like, you look at David Carr when he came out of Fresno and he was in Houston, those first couple of years, just ruined him, and he was done. He had a talented player that was just done, you know, so that was the problem there. I don't know for sure that you could really hide him like that. You know, that's a little tough to do, but I get what he's saying, trying to.
He's Teron Davenport. I'm Chase McCabe. Coming up next, we'll talk to ESPN's Jason Fitz, get his thoughts on the NFL and everything going on. That is all next here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's baseball time in Hit City. The Nashville Sounds take the field Friday, March 31st for opening weekend against the Louisville Bats. Enjoy Friday fireworks, live music Saturday, and kids round the bases on Sunday. Grab your tickets today at NashvilleSounds.com.
Some people don't do well under pressure. At Northern Tool and Equipment, we do it best. Whether you're spraying down the shop or getting the winter grime off your house, a Northern Tool pressure washer says you're serious about spring cleaning. From an all-electric power horse to a Honda-powered North Star, we'll help you build your perfect cold or hot water package with all the chemicals, attachments, and everything you need for the job ahead. Northern Tool and Equipment. We're made for this. Come see us in store or shop online at northerntool.com.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Sometimes the best part of the day is when the day is done. The Rusty Nail in Hermitage has been the best part of the day for many since their doors opened. They provide a great local atmosphere with a big back patio and volleyball courts, plus great drinks like $3 two-lane beer drafts and great food, especially the wings. Call now to reserve your private events or corporate parties, or simply call up a few old pals and tell them to meet you down at the Rusty Nail. See you there. Cheers.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right, but right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
When you want live and local.
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in for Jared Stillman today. Join 102.5 The Game and the Preds Energy Team at the Rusty Nail in Hermitage on Monday, April 3rd for the Preds Road Watch Party as your Nashville Predators take on the Dallas Stars. Enjoy $3 two-lane draft beers, a great local atmosphere with a large outdoor patio and volleyball courts. Plus, you can try some of their great food, especially the wings. That's 102.5 The Game and the Preds Energy Team at the Rusty Nail on Monday, April 3rd. We will see you there. Let's head to the phone line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Say hello to Fitzy. Our man Jason Fitz from ESPN joins us now. Jason, what's up, man? How are you?
All things being all things, I'm doing the best I can. How's everybody there?
We are fantastic. I just saw on the Twitter that Dov Kleiman is putting out there, and I think he got this from The Athletic, that your Raiders have crossed Jalen Carter off the list for 7th overall. It seems to be a theme with him with all the stuff that's coming out. What do you think about that? Your Raiders reportedly maybe moving on from Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I saw that in The Athletic earlier today, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you have to realize that Henry Ruggs is still awaiting trial, hasn't actually gotten to that point yet. So obviously for his incident that resulted in the death of a woman and her dog, and he was speeding in Vegas and had a blood alcohol content level of 0.18. You think about the optics. I think the Raiders at this point just can't they can't take any more hits on the optics in a local market that's still getting to know the team. So I was curious to see how they would handle it. I think it's the most interesting or difficult decision for a team and a player this year was what they would do with it. So I'm not surprised to see that happen. It's a statement that just shows you, wow, I think the two cases are very different. The two human beings are very different. And I want to be clear that the sins of Henry Ruggs are not the sins of Jalen Carter. The organization still has to think about the optics of all of this when they're dealing with as an organization from Ruggs. So I'm not surprised, but Jalen Carter is going to have to every NFL team is going to have to do their homework and really talk to the human being to figure out what's going on before they can invest that money in.
Absolutely. And Fitz, that's a great point. It's something that I thought of when people started to say the possibility of going to 7. And you're right, the optics after going through that tragedy with Henry Ruggs III. So I like your point there. But we talk about pick number 7. It was a quarterback that people were projecting to the Raiders, but now that Jimmy G is in town, what do you look at as the ideal scenario for your Raiders at 7?
I think the Raiders, honestly, are going to be stuck out of the quarterback market. And by the way, I think this is true for every team. I mean, I even talked to McShay today on Fitz and Harry and talked to him on text afterwards. Like, I genuinely believe quarterbacks are going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this draft. The 4 top quarterbacks will be gone by the 4th pick. There were reports out of the owners' meeting that Seattle is already in talks with Arizona to move up to 3rd to take the quarterback that they want. That leaves Indianapolis with the 4th. And what that means is I think you're going to get a run on defensive players starting at 5. So, for the Raiders, I think it's best defensive player available that's not Jalen Carter. So I think, you're looking at Gonzalez, maybe the corner out of Oregon. Yeah. It's going to be somebody on the defensive side of the ball, but I think that's going to be true for a lot of these guys. And, frankly, I would rather see for anybody, whether it's the Titans or Raiders or anybody else, when you're sitting at 7, don't reach for a player just because you have a need. Go get yourself the best player available. Yep. You're picking that high because your team's not good.
Jason Fitz is with us from ESPN. Now, your colleague and TD's colleague at ESPN, Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM of the Jets, did his mock draft. He has Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker 5th overall to the Seattle Seahawks. And I know a lot has been talked about his age, about obviously coming off an ACL injury. But, Fitz, when you say, first the top 4 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, what about Tannenbaum having Hendon Hooker 5th overall?
I think Hendon Hooker is still going to go in the first round, and he's not going to go in the top 10, I don't think. And, Mike's mock draft was what he would do if he were the GM. He did stress that. But somebody's going to trade up to get him to get the extra year on the contract. The couple of things we got to remember with Hendon that are particularly interesting is that he has a large body of work, but also even if you look at last year, his yards per attempt were the highest of any of these quarterbacks that we're talking about. So when people say he played in a quarterback-friendly system, Mike's argument is that if you look at the metrics and the numbers, he played in a system that forced a quarterback to make a lot of decisions and be aggressive with the football. So, I think people are in love with the brain of Hendon Hooker, with the athletic ability we saw of Hendon Hooker, and knowing that he's coming off that ACL tear. If you can get an extra year on him, that's really helpful in the development. So this feels to me a little bit, I know it's a triggering statement right now to say this for some people, but remember when Lamar was drafted, there were questions about Lamar, and we watched the Ravens swoop back up into the bottom of the first round to take him. I think that's what somebody's going to do with Hendon Hooker, just to get that extra year.
So top 15. If you're a team with a top 15 pick, Fitzy, do you take a receiver? And if so, is there a receiver that you feel is worthy of a top 15 pick?
I mean, I don't, and that's a really good question, TD, because like every year we talk about these receiver classes being the best, and I know everybody's in love, rightfully so. Jackson Smith and Jigba, a lot of people like. Jacoby Addison's a guy that a lot of people like. There's Quentin Johnston, guy that a lot of people like. But when you're talking top 15, man, I don't think there's such a huge difference between some of those guys to the rest of the guys that it's worth that reach, right? Like, if you're telling me it's for Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, I completely understand it. I just think this year's class is a little bit more lumped together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, frankly, I'd be a lot more comfortable. Wide receivers, I think, are going to go through a run starting at about 25 to 40 in the draft.
Interesting. Jason Fitz is with us. What do you have you work with a wide receiver, a pretty good wide receiver in Harry Douglas. Have you all talked about Jalen Hyatt at all from Tennessee and kind of your thoughts on him?
People love him. I mean, here's the great thing that is interesting to me. It feels like Hendon Hooker and Jalen Wyatt are in the same boat that at times they're almost being penalized in the casual conversation because of how smart the Tennessee offensive system has been and how smart the offensive coordinators were, how smart they were at getting guys open. The one thing I would say that I've heard from a couple of guys, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but this is the feedback I've gotten from a couple of former wide receivers, is that there's some development for him to do in his route tree. He's got a couple of routes he runs really well, but he's got some development in how he does some other things, specifically how he breaks out of some of his routes. So I think, to me, he's going to be one of those guys that you're talking mid-second round. It feels like is the right spot for him because of the way we value wide receivers. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of question marks. I just get really frustrated, y'all, because, like, I think that the answer should be, can great coaches make players great? And when you watch guys that are going through the process and becoming great with great coaching, then all of a sudden we're saying, well, is it really the player or is it the coach? Well, what I want to know is, can a guy take the coaching to become great? And you've seen that from both Hooker and Hyatt. So I wouldn't penalize either of them for the offensive system they were in personally.
All right, let's bring it on home to Nashville here and talk about these Titans. Do you think that they should run it back, Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill there, or should they go ahead and bite the bullet on those numbers and move on and pay the credit card this year?
I think, honestly, I know Titans fans don't want to hear this, just like Raiders fans don't want to hear this. I think that, Rand Carthon has made it pretty clear that he thinks the Titans are in a bit of a rebuild mode. And when you're talking about a rebuild mode, you're talking about a 2-year process. So realistically, if there's any thought in the building that Malik Willis could be the future at quarterback, I would play Malik Willis just to find out what you have, because next year, frankly, Caleb Williams and Drake May are if either Caleb Williams or Drake May were in this year's draft, they would both be higher rated prospects than C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. So the quarterback class at the top next year is considered to be better. So what do you have to lose by being absolute garbage and seeing what you have? And in the process, if you see what you have, you've got something there, then, hey, that's a great win. The problem is Derrick Henry is that's a variable, man. Like, Derrick Henry is going to make you too good to lose a ton of football games. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of how are you taking a 2-year process? And this is much like similar to what the Raiders are doing. The Raiders have, Devontae Adams and Jimmy G and Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby Myers. They brought in enough players that they're going to be okay. But I think they're really looking at it saying, hey, let's take a 2-year rebuild, and if we have to send a king's ransom in the draft next year to move up to quarterback, that's what we will do. I don't think that's very different than what the Titans' approach is going to do. They're trying to remodel while they're living in a wing of the house, and they remodel the rest of the house. That's a difficult thing to do. I just think that they have to be patient as an organization and understand, and fans have to understand, it's a 2-year process in my mind in Tennessee.
Here's the other thing too, Fitzy. There's a dude on the other side of the ball that's about to make a lot of money that he might make him too good to get one of those guys too, and that's Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, and look, we even had our first draft meeting because we're doing the digital draft again this year, as we've done the last several years. When we had our first draft meeting, one of the main conversations were who are guys we think could get traded on draft night, and Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons were the two names that kept coming up because people just think it makes too much sense to unload them. The only problem is, and I say this to people all the time, especially Simmons. Like, Simmons is not I understand if you want to move on from a running back. If I told you could draft the next Jeffrey Simmons in this draft, you'd be ecstatic. So my mindset is still pay the guys that you know can come in and help you establish the culture for who you're going to be for the next generation. I would pay Simmons all day long and hush all of this nonsense that seems to be running in league circles about getting rid of him. I think he's one of the main pillars that you build forward with.
Absolutely. Fitzy, appreciate it. Good to talk to you as always, and we'll do it again soon.
Have a great week, boys. Appreciate you.
You too. Jason Fitz, ESPN, joins us usually on Wednesdays at 4:30. Had to move today to 3:30, and always enjoy the conversations with him. There's a few things that he brought up that I want to hit on with you because the light bulb went off. We will do that, plus your questions for TD, 615-737-1025. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I've been telling you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical for years, and that's because Hiller has been taking great care of my home since I got into the home ownership business, and they can do the same for you. And let them do that. Sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks, but there are actually big problems that can come from old, outdated HVAC systems. Older systems have higher repair costs and require more maintenance and will result in higher utility bills. And even worse, they can break down when you need them the most. Don't let that happen. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit your picture of your old unit. Plus, everybody wins with trade-in credits and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacements. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
They can be a fully formed model of what they're going to be offensively moving forward.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
You don't know what's going to happen with the roster or the team.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
This is a good lesson about sports and what we think and what actually happens.
Chad Withrow on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, April 1st as your Nashville Predators take on the St. Louis Blues for a Saturday afternoon party in Smashville. Arrive early for the Nashville Predators Plaza Party, presented by Dr. Pepper, starting at 10 a.m. And don't forget, puck drop is at 12 p.m. Purchase your tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds!
Last year, did you say to yourself, "Self, if I took the whole family to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, featuring tons of music and stupid fast Indy cars racing through downtown, I would be a legend parent and or spouse." But then, you didn't go. Hey, don't be that parent and or spouse this year. Step up, wannabe legend, and get the fam to this year's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, August 4th through 6th. Get tickets at MusicCityGP.com and get amped, legend.
In football, we all take our hits, but protection, that keeps you in the game. That's why I always wear a helmet and pads on the field. Life, too, comes with risks. So I got vaccinated and boosted for COVID-19. Hi, this is former Tennessee Titans tackle Brad Hopkins. Talk to your doctor. Get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself and your family against COVID-19.
For more information, go to nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Yes, we do have availability. Those dates for how many guests?
Andrea's Boutique Hotel is the destination to tie the knot.
Oh, you want the whole property?
She needs an assistant to catch the bookings bouquets.
249 guests, huh? Oh, and 3 dogs.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
Titans have actually made a move, finalizing a one-year deal.
Strong-willed opinions.
No, I disagree. No, I totally disagree with that.
And sometimes, some old man takes...
Don't want those cooked carrots that are 5 days old.
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rexrode.
The job starts in the morning.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman. Appreciate Jason Fitz for joining us. All right, so number one, and there's a lot of stuff that he hit on that I want to kind of throw at you and discuss. With the Titans, if they're in a transition, which we have said that we kind of feel like they are. Now, I still feel like they're going to keep Tannehill and Henry, which is going to make them kind of middle of the road where they've been, maybe 6-7 wins. Vegas has their win total at 7.5. I lean under on that. I think 6-7 is probably right for them. It's the lowest win total they've had in 5 years, by the way. But with Jeffrey Simmons, I'm building around that dude. I am building the defensive side of the ball around that dude. I'm not letting him go. I don't care. I mean, I don't know what the offer would be for him on draft night, but I don't see them trading him, unless it's part of a deal to maybe get number 1 overall. But to Fitz's point, I don't think I'm doing that with this class. Next year, I probably would. But, because I think Caleb Williams, he's that dude. I think Drake May is that dude. Got to see it again, obviously. But, and then there could be, hey, we could be talking about Joe Milton. You never know. I think at this point last year, we didn't think we'd be talking about Hendon Hooker as a first-round pick, and here we are.
Yeah.
So that you got to let that play out. But I think Jeffrey Simmons is somebody you build around, pay him.
Well, you ask any quarterback what's the thing that they hate the most, and they'll tell you pressure from the interior.
Yeah.
Right? They hate having the pocket collapsed into their face. And Jeffrey Simmons is the type of player that even though, well, he does drop back in pass coverage. He and Tierra Tart did it against Washington. But usually your D tackle doesn't drop back in pass coverage.
That's my dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He former basketball player. That's why he got those sweet feet. But normally they don't drop into coverage. But without doing that, he still impacts the pass coverage because of how that bull rush that he has is. You see him pushing guards in the center into the quarterback. Now, the quarterback can't step into the throw because he doesn't want to bang his hand on the lineman that's getting forklift back into him. Doesn't want to bang his hand on his helmet. So now a guy could be wide open. He could hit a double move on one of the guys on the outside, be running free, but the quarterback can't get it there because he can't get into the throw because Simmons is collapsing the pocket.
Yeah.
That's what he brings. How many times have you seen him going against the run, right? Get that instant pressure. The running back has to redirect, and now that gives other guys time to come in and make the play. Doesn't go in as a tackle for him, and they don't really have, generating tackles, but here it is. It's a play that he impacted. So a lot of times when you compare him to the Quinnen Williams, when you compare him to Jovan Hargrave, Deron Payne, guys that have double-digit sacks, there's other stuff. He impacts the quarterback, but also impacts the opposing offense. And then, by the way, he had 8.5, and he spent 8 weeks on a jacked-up ankle.
Yeah, that was the point I was about to make.
Yeah.
Dude was on, 1 foot basically, and still had 8.5 sacks last year. If he's healthy and he stays healthy, and he's motivated, which he's always motivated, but I think they can announce his contract tomorrow, for whatever it turns out to be. I'm not worried about that dude.
No, you don't have to.
I am not worried about that dude. He has a chip on his shoulder every day, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah.
So I don't get rid of him. And, like I said, if you ended up going quarterback and taking somebody, we talked about Hendon Hooker. And Hendon Hooker, I know, threw a little bit today. He's still rehabbing. He talked how it felt good to be out there with his guys and kind of showing out. Something that I didn't think about that Fitz brought up was how beneficial it might be to take him in the first round to get that extra year. I didn't think about that. With him, with this maybe being a redshirt year, which he's not a day one guy. He's not a day one starter.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take him at the end of the first round and you have the 5th-year option on there, could that be intriguing for teams?
Yeah, I mean, because now you got 4 years, once he's healthy, 4 years of control at a pretty moderate level. Because chances are if that happens, it would be like back end of the first round. Jeffrey Simmons was a 19th pick, 5th-year option. He's playing. It's $10.75 million.
Right.
Now, obviously, different position.
Sure.
But so the number's going to be higher, but still – it's another year of having a guy on a more manageable pay scale, and that allows you to do things outside to build around him.
Yeah, I think when he said that, I was like, oh, I didn't think of that.
It's a good point. Yep.
Do you believe that we've seen it work in Cincinnati, that they draft Joe Burrow and then they go get Jamar Chase, they go get a guy that he knows, that he's familiar with, that chemistry's already. You don't have to worry about it. That chemistry is already there. Tua and Jalen Waddle. Down in Miami, there's a few other examples too of finding guys that are familiar. Do you think we're going to start to see more of that, or is it just it's worked out that way and that's just kind of how it is?
I think in those cases it worked out that way. It's just really kind of how it is. But I mean, look, it could happen next year, right? The team gets Jordan Addison and they go get Caleb Williams, and now you have it again. But I think really it's just the way things have timed out, like Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts.
Yep, there you go.
It kind of fell together, and it's just situational. I don't think that – because you could get the chemistry. Look at the chemistry that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs had, right?
Yeah.
Look at the chemistry that A.J. and Jalen Hurts had. Now, granted, they're best friends, but they didn't play together.
No.
But they developed that chemistry. So you could always bring that along.
Yeah, I find that to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like I threw out this and I'm not a Tennessee fan. I'm a Vandy fan, but like threw out this pipe dream of you trade back, you get Hurts, and then you get Jalen Hyatt too. With the extra pick, keep those two together.
You could do get Cedric Tillman.
Yeah, Tillman's another one that you could get,
Yeah.
and he's probably 3rd round, 4th round, something like that, somewhere in there. But I think it's all very, very interesting with this. But Tennessee's pro day today. Florida's pro day was earlier today. Let's squeeze in a call real quick. Mike in Gallatin wants to weigh in. Mike, what's up?
Hey, guys. So first, happy opening day.
Happy opening day.
In baseball. I know we were talking a lot of football stuff, but the thing that amazed me with how Fitz's call the most there was that he was pretty keen on seeing what we ride with Malik Willis. And my thought process was, if we were going to have to do that, what's the price tag you would put on a Derrick Henry? What's the price tag you would put on a Ryan Tannehill that would blow you away to the point where you'd feel comfortable doing that? Because again, all you click on the internet, you get ran off or you get scared off, and by the silliness that is the certain team can trade the Titans a 3rd round pick for Derrick Henry and call it a day. Maybe that's what the value of him is. I'd be disgusted if that's what we would be getting for him back. But what are the value for those two guys? And then I'll just let you guys talk about that. And then Chase, if you know anything about Max Fried, let me know.
Will do. Thanks. Appreciate it, Mike.
So you look at the Christian McCaffrey trade, right?
Yep.
The 49ers gave up a 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick in 2023, and they also gave up a 5th round pick in 2024. If you're the Titans, do you trade Henry for that? Think about a 2nd round pick, a 3rd round pick, and a 4th round pick.
I mean, I probably would.
Think of the players you could get. You could get somebody like Spears from Tulane, right?
The extra 2nd rounder this year intrigues me.
That's what I'm saying. You could get a guy. You could get a guy like that who would complement Haskins.
Yeah,
and then you get another 3rd round pick. Now that could be Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're building I wouldn't. It's tough. Like whether
I
or
don't
not they
wanna
trade,
do it.
whether or not they trade Henry, Derrick Henry would really. That's going to let you know where they are in this process.
Yeah.
If they feel that they could still, and also the value that they could return. But if they feel that they could still, be competitive with the guys there, I don't think they trade. But also you do have to figure out, okay, what's the compensation that's being offered. That's for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
We know that McCaffrey is more of a well-rounded player. He has an impact in the passing game a little more. So if you take a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick this year, and a fifth-round pick next year, would you do that? I don't know.
I think that's a really interesting point. I wouldn't want to do it, but if the offer is right, and you have to know, they have to know already what they're going to do with Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
If they have decided June 1 they're cutting him, then I'm more inclined to do it.
Yeah.
If they've decided they're going to ride one more year with him, then I'm less inclined.
Yeah, you might as well give yourself a shot.
Yeah.
Because they give you that.
Exactly. So good questions for sure for TD. Good conversation. We'll get back to some football talk in a minute. But it is opening day in the majors, and we had a little discussion during a break that I want to bring up, and we talked about it this morning on Chase and Michelle. We'll do that next here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Did you know trading in your car at a dealer could cost you money? A recent study found consumers who trade in their car pay an average of $990 more. So don't trade in. Sell it to We Buy Any Car. Learn more and get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Spring in and style up with huge savings on top athletic brands at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin. Stay active this spring with up to 70% off the athletic styles you love. Shop deals on thousands of styles from top athletic apparel and footwear brands, like $10 tees, tanks, and shorts for the family, $20 swimwear, $20 golf polos, and running footwear for $60 or less. Find incredible deals and incredible style at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin at Watson Glen.
If you compare a diamond from Genesis Diamonds to one you find somewhere else, one thing will always stand out. The Genesis diamond is, well, prettier and more brilliant.
We will show you why our diamond's light performance is significantly greater than things you can get elsewhere.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
Not just because of the color and the clarity, but because of things a certificate can't tell you. Because of the characteristics, the personality, the material.
It's the extra step in quality control that comes from an owner obsessed with perfection.
Our owner is incredibly picky when he buys diamonds, searching through hundreds just to get a handful. You will not see diamonds that have the fire at your average mall store or chain store or smaller independent because they don't have the access worldwide like Genesis Diamonds does. Our diamond's light performance, character, and explosive brilliance is bar none the best your money can buy.
Don't compromise with a diamond that just looks good on paper. Get a diamond that reflects your love in the best light possible.
This diamond has to be spectacular.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Nashville Predators are back in action tonight up in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. Nashville is looking to build off the 2-1 win over Boston on Tuesday. Assistant coach Dan Heine was on Robbie and Rexrode this morning talking about trying to carry over the momentum.
We need to use every ounce of opportunity that we can get, and if you can use the momentum from Boston's win into tonight first period, then perfect. The key for us is that our young guys can't sit and watch Malkin and Crosby.
The Preds did announce the signing of college free agent defenseman Jake Livingstone to a one-year entry-level contract. Pre-game action for Preds versus Pens begins at 5 with puck drop at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. The Tennessee Vols are having their pro day today. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is in attendance. Titans GM Rand Carthon is down in Florida for the Gators pro day. It's been reported the Titans are scheduled to meet with Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. Today is opening day for Major League Baseball. The Nashville Sounds will begin play tomorrow. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A gunny performance. Do your job. And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service, broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman. You can hit us up on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. Ian Safar back there as well on this Thursday. It is opening day in the majors. And I was kind of surprised, pleasantly, this morning on Chase and Michelle. We opened the show talking about opening day and the new rules in baseball. And I asked the question that I'll ask to you and I'll ask to the listeners right now. Do the new rules of a pitch clock, bigger bases, no shift, basically things to make to benefit the offense and to make the game move faster, if you're a novice baseball fan or if you're an old baseball fan that just quit watching because the games were too dang long, is it going to bring you back in? Is it going to intrigue you? And we had a little bit of this discussion during one of the breaks. I never quit watching baseball. I love baseball. We just watched the Braves. They won. You're a Mets fan, and I know I feel like you're one of those that you got to get into baseball season at some point, but you'll follow your Mets and keep up with them. And Ian said in the break, and I'll let you expand, Ian, that the pitch clock doesn't really do anything for you. You don't really care.
Like, overall, I get why the pitch clock is a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
For your team, if you watch a lot of baseball, it's Tuesday night, it's Wednesday night, these games go forever, I get it. But if the pitch clock, to me, does not, I don't really have a team. I kind of do, but, I don't really follow, a baseball team. And so, to me, that's not really intriguing me to just watch some random baseball game that I normally otherwise I wouldn't watch. Philly versus Texas is on right now or whatever. Just because the pitch clock and some of the rule changes is not going to make me more intrigued to watch. Would it help me if I was a fan of a team? And would I be more intrigued to maybe watch weeknight games and more games of the team that I cared about? Probably. But I'm not just going to randomly watch a game that I probably would like I would football or hockey.
Okay. Right. And that's fair. And I think, there are going to be people that feel the way you do. But I do think that baseball is going to get some new fans and they're going to get some people back. And I feel like they will. I know watching the Braves game today, it was cool. I liked it. It was fast paced. There seemed to be more energy. Now, I am an old school, baseball lover that I like a pitcher's duel. I like a pitcher that's, it's like he's got a no-no and you don't talk about it. I'm curious to see what that does, because they have taken the shift out.
Yes.
There was
that's what I like.
Well, because there were guys with the Braves, I think it was Matt Olson, got a hit today that last year would have been an out. And so because they would have shifted over and gotten him, you're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, you're all going to see a lot of that. The thing is with me, so you bring up a good point about the bases being a little bit larger, and in total I think it's like 2 feet that's taken away from the base paths. Yeah, Starling Marte, he had a stolen base against the Marlins. He had 47 2 years ago. This past year he had 18. Hopefully that inspires him to run more. But the thing is with something like that, the classic baseball fan is the one that can appreciate a batter getting a single or drawing a walk, going to first, stealing second, and then an opposite field hit, manufacturing that run. The classic baseball fan is going to appreciate that.
See, I miss bunting. Like, I miss the pitcher getting up and you bunt a guy over. Like, I like that.
So the thing is, I don't think that's going to draw new fans, because new fans, they want to see Aaron Judge come up and hit a ball to Jupiter. That's what they want to see, right? So I think if they could somehow make that a little more prevalent, then it'll bring new fans. And just like you said yesterday, the commercial, Chicks Dig the Long Ball with Glavine and those guys in it. Yeah, man, and it's true. The home run, the offense generates attention. And speaking of that, this is a rare time where I would root for the Phillies, but they're up 4-0 on Jacob deGrom, and it's.
So you want to see? So that's where you're at. You're going to see your boy. You want to see him get blown up?
No, I don't. But I don't. I'm a little bit of hater came out of me just now.
Okay, now this is intriguing to me. How did you become a Mets fan?
So I used to live in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to live in Jackson Heights in Jamaica. When I was in Jackson Heights, man, it's a train ride to the stadium. You know what I mean?
But did you grow up in Philly?
Yeah, up until I was 12.
Okay.
But so baseball was my favorite sport.
All right.
When I was younger, I used to love baseball. My aunt used to take me to Shea Stadium all the time, and then even once we moved to Philly and then the Philly area, I would go back in the summertime and stay with my aunt. And even then, she would take me to Mets games. So it's just been a thing. I started being a Mets fan in '83.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was. So the newspapers, I want to say Newsday. I always get them. Yeah, it's Newsday. They always do. Yeah, it's Newsday. They always do for baseball season. They always do a commercial on one of the players. Not a commercial, but a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the cartoon was of this guy named Darryl Strawberry, and the way that they made it look like he had a big wad of gum in his mouth, and it was. And plus, it was a black player. So I'm like, oh wow, and he got a cool name. I'm a Mets fan, you know what I mean, and it just worked that way.
Yeah.
And then Doc came the next year. So
Doc, yeah. Is it you that had the Doc jersey, or was that Willie? I can't remember.
I have one.
Yeah.
I haven't worn it, but
Okay.
I have one. And even you look at my screensaver, you see what it is right there.
Oh,
right?
nice. That's good. Tyson.
Got Mike Tyson. This is my childhood sports in one picture.
So I really got I had gotten into baseball at a young age and loved the Braves and everything. But do you remember the Simpsons episode Homer at the Bat where he's playing softball and the power plant has a softball team and Burns makes a bet with Shelbyville's softball with the owner of the plant in Shelbyville, and so he gets a bunch of ringers. So he gets Darryl Strawberry and like those guys. And I just remember Lisa and Bart going, Darryl.
Yeah, talking to him. Yeah, because he had the foot. That was when he was with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, that broke my heart.
Yeah. So, baseball, it's good for the soul. I've always said that. Like, I will go to a game by myself, sit in the outfield, get a beer, peanuts, hot dog, watch a game, and just – I went to 5 different parks last year. And it was great.
Yeah, I remember the tour you were doing. Yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of them. I can't say I've connected with Citi Field, but I love Citizens Banks Park.
I haven't been there, but I've heard it's cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And there's a part where you could go and you stand on like over the wall, and you look over, and the visiting team's bullpen is right there. It's right there, so you could harass them and all that. Man, those folks be talking trash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
in 8th grade, we did our 8th grade trip to New York. And
Okay.
It was like 8 months after 9/11, which was, pretty crazy. But we went to Shea, and so it was Mets Cardinals. So I got to see Piazza and McGuire, which
Wow.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the fact
Two
that, and it was
sluggers.
right at the end of McGuire. Like McGuire was almost done. Like he was falling apart at that point. But that was. I think Piazza hit a home run in that game. But
Wouldn't
the Mets
surprise
weren't
me.
very good.
Yeah.
The Cardinals weren't very good. But it was early in the season. But it was cool.
Why not?
That I got to see that. But just curious of the baseball fan and the new rules and what they think about it. Something we haven't talked about. We'll get back into the Titans and football coming up next. I got to get Teron's thoughts on receivers. We've hit on it a little bit, but this team needs receivers.
Yeah.
And D-Mace is not coming out of retirement, and neither is Chris Sanders. So
Unfortunately.
we got to figure this out. We'll discuss that coming up next. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the Preds game tonight with Hal Gill at the bottom of the hour. It's Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We do screen printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do embroidery.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do large format printing.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do promotional goods.
Music City Screen Prints.
We do graphic design.
Music City Screen Prints.
mcscreenprints.com. That's mcscreenprints with an S.com. 615-866-6010.
You think it, we print it.
This week at the Electronic Express Markdown Mania event, get instant savings of up to 40% off in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, housewares, gaming consoles, speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 3 years free financing. Shop the Markdown Mania sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Make 2023 the year you beat Vegas. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments so the first payment is not until summer of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? Some brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds baseball tomorrow night at 6:35 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds have their home opener at First Horizon Park against the Louisville Bats, AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Family Leisure. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in for Jared today on Stillman and Company. And word on the street is Joey Votto could be playing for the Bats tomorrow. As he's starting the year on the DL or on the IL and doing a rehab stint. So
he's still a bopper.
He's still a bopper. That is for sure.
It's cool to go to that game. I like doing that, and then going to the spot. They don't pay us, so I'm not going to say where, but you could get a nice view of the game. You know?
Yeah. No, that's a good spot. So Sounds game tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. You asked Fitz about receivers. If you're if picking in the top 15, would you take one? He said no. He said move back. This receiving, like last year was so deep at receiver. Last year was the year to go get a wideout or two, and I thought that
Wilson,
and the Titans did that. The Titans got a couple, obviously with Traylon Burks and then Kyle Phillips. But I think this year you got to be a little more selective. But there is some talent at that position.
It's still deep, but it's not top half deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hence the question: okay, top 15, do you? And the answer, no. But if you could trade back. I mean, look, Zay Flowers.
I like him.
Hey, and it's funny. I remember, so I had watched him throughout the year, obviously, but then just like sitting down and just watching tape and like focusing on him. I'm like, yo, this is Joey Galloway. You know what I mean? And I said, well, let me scale it back. He reminds me of Brandon Cooks, like a little dude that could win on the outside, plays with so much speed, and get your yards after catch. And could return punts for you. He's a guy, like you get him in the 20s, you're cashing in. At 41, right? You get a Jalen Hiley. You get a Tyler Scott if he's there. There's so many, a Josh Downs. No one's talking about Josh Downs, but you talk about a route surgeon. That's what he brings to the table. So the thing that's cool about this is there's so many receivers. You look at Wake Forest's A.T. Perry. We're talking about a 6'4", 215-pound guy. You throw it up, he's going to go up and get it. He ran in the 4.4s at the combine. No one's talking about him, but he's another guy. It's just so deep. Jonathan Mingo. Then you go to you want to get a guy that is just completely flying under the radar in the media. Princeton's Andre Yosivas. This guy is a heptathlete. His 60-meter time in the heptathlon at the championships was the fastest ever. He went down to the Senior Bowl, killed it, leveled up against those DBs. He's training with Juju Brents, the Kansas State corner, and there's another one that they're going against each other every day. So I say all that to say, like, there's so many prospects, so many, and it is a deep class, but it's just not top heavy. That's
and that's problem. Okay. I mean, I think that's okay.
You could pluck a few guys out of this class and be in good shape.
When you watch film of a receiver, what do you, Teron Davenport, look for?
Well, I look for how they're being covered, right? So I'm looking at at the line. Are you facing press? If you're facing press, how are you getting off of that? How many times do you have a lot of chatter at the line of scrimmage where it's like you have to and get off? No, I want to see you make a move, commit, and go. Right? Are you getting jammed up? So I watch that, and then as we're going into the route, I'm watching, are you making every route look the same? Right? Am I watching you and saying, hey, he's about to run a break out, or he's about to break in? Like, how he's about to go deep. How are you selling your routes? So I watch that, and then I also look at the way you get in and out of your breaks. The thing that I really love to watch the most out of everything is, do you hit a gear when the ball's in the air? It's one of the things I like about Tyler Scott, Zay Flowers. These guys hit another gear, and they're disciplined to where you see them tucking and run. So I usually when you're watching all 22, like watching the what you get, for the college tape, usually for a receiver, you don't watch the end zone view. But I watch that because I want to see, because, after the quarterback throws the ball, it hones in down the field. And now you see, okay, you can really see how he's tucking and running. Is he running with his hands out? You know what I mean? Because if you could be a 4-3 guy, and if you're running with your hands out while the ball is in the air, you're not 4-3. But you could be a 4-5 guy and tuck and run when the ball's in the air. Now you're running like you're 4-3 because you're not losing that speed by having your hands out and throwing them out at the last second. So those are all things I watch. And then obviously, you know, when you're watching it from a perspective of how this team would likely look at prospects, I'm watching run plays too. What are you doing on the run? I got from Tyler Scott something really interesting on Talking with TD this week because I asked him about that. And he was like, you know, a lot of run plays, I work and I gather information. I want to see how a guy's going to react when I give him this move. How is he going to react to that?
Oh.
And then I see him react to that, so I know later when it's a pass play, okay, he reacted this way, I could do this.
I like that.
That's very smart, and that's what you do. Like, you gather information. So, I mean, that's another thing that you watch with the guys. But, I mean, you know, when it's a guy like Rasheed Rice out of SMU, you know, you see him going and digging out the safety, or you see him, you know, coming off the ball and grabbing. We used to call it in college, we used to call them plaxicos. You know, as receivers, we'd be like, how many plaxicos you get today? You know what I mean? And that was like a pancake block as a receiver. You see, are they doing that? And that's how, you know, you could tell if a guy is a dog or not, you know?
Yeah. No, I like that. That's interesting, of gaining information as you go along, because, you know, you can get so much from film. But actually being in it across from a guy, looking him in the eye, I mean, that's when you're going to get everything.
And that's another thing. I mean, you could, in essence, take a play off. Like, if you don't feel like having the contact, you know, when you're run blocking and you know it's man coverage, quick move, release outside, run him down the field. He's not in the play. You did your job.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So there's stuff you could do.
Yeah, for sure. When you think all-time, this is just kind of a fun question, but when you think all-time of receivers, who in your mind ran the best route? I mean, it's probably easy to say Jerry Rice because he's.
I don't think he ran. He was good at making every route look the same.
Yeah.
But that darn Chad Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I remember talking to Tajay Sharp about that because that was Tajay's favorite player. Man, we used to talk about Chad Johnson.
Ocho Cinco.
Yeah, and see, the thing with him is the ability to start and stop. Like, he'll run a route and all of a sudden just and break back to the corner. You're like, damn, it was a corner. You're like, what happened? You know what I mean? That's the thing that I love. But Torrey Holt ran some good routes too. He ran some, but I would probably say, Chad Johnson.
He'll post videos still on Twitter, and he's a great follow.
Yeah,
as you know, he'll still post videos, and I don't know how old he is now. I guess he's in his 40s.
I'm not sure.
But like, he'll post videos, and I'll go, damn.
Yeah,
he can still looks like he could play.
And
now,
it's
can
funny.
he take the hit? You know, D-Mace looks like he could still, he can still play. But
it's funny, you know, you think of Chad Johnson, and he's like your typical. I don't know. There's just something about like those Miami cats. Like they don't have to eat right. You know what I mean? Like they could eat hot Cheetos and drink Pepsi, and go out there and just kill it. And it's like, how do you do that? You know, it's funny, man.
See, I used to love those Bengals receivers like Chad Johnson and Hushmanzada and Chris Henry.
Rest in peace. His son is a good player.
Actually,
Pac-Man kind of like adopting Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah.
His son is going into college. Looks just like him. It's crazy.
Really?
It's crazy.
That's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So I saw a preseason game in Cincinnati. It was actually Tebow's first. They were playing the Broncos. It was Tebow's first game with the Broncos. So he comes in like the third quarter. Kyle Orton's there, and But for one series, I saw Carson Palmer, Terrell Owens, and Chad Ochocinco all on the field at the same time, and I was like, took a picture because I'm like, this ain't gonna work, but this will be fun. This will be fun to see. No matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun. I mean, you see, even though they're not the same, but you see two guys, Hall of Fame level guys, and a quarterback. You talk about cannon of an arm.
Oh, yeah.
Carson Palmer had that.
He had it for sure. Coming up next, the Predators in action tonight against Pittsburgh. We'll check in with our man Hal Gill. He's going to be standing by in Pittsburgh in the booth. We'll talk to him next here on Stillman and Company. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in for Jared today, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get on all the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up and claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the nets. Boy, I'll tell you, I love watching the defense of San Diego State, but I also love the offense of FAU. That's going to be the toughest game, in my opinion, to pick. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/JGM to sign up. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Refund is issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days and restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
I think it's a really good move.
TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
312 Pizza Company is your spot for the best Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. From thin crust pizza to deep dish pizza to Italian beef sandwiches and Chicago dogs. Doesn't get much better than that. Until now. 312 Pizza Company is now serving up their award-winning pizza by the slice. All day, every day. Don't have time to wait for a full pie? No problem. Get a slice instead. Order a full pie but want a little more? Add another slice. Do it. Honestly, just go get a slice. 312 Pizza Company. Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria. Go get a slice.
Sports and leadership go hand in hand. In fact, 94% of women executives were student athletes. Play Like a Girl is creating a more equal playing field for the next generation of women in leadership. You can help too. Become a mentor, donor, or volunteer. Learn more at iplaylikeagirl.org/mentor.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rexrode 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport in today for Jared Stillman. And I don't know if our next guest feels that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we say hello to Hal Gill, who's standing by in Pittsburgh. Predators going to take on the Penguins tonight as two teams fighting for a playoff spot. Skillsy, what's up? How are you?
What's going on? It's nice to talk to you. You know, I'm going to miss Jared, you know, but I assume you got some angry pills and you're mad about something just so you can – or worried? Are you worried about something?
No.
Worried? Are you worried?
I'm not. I actually
You're
feel –
not, okay, perfect. That's a nice change.
I feel really good. I mean, I look at this team. I love how the young kids are playing. I know I talked to Luke Evangelista yesterday, who I think is a stud. He's going to be even better as he just, gets more and more acclimated with the NHL game. But that was an awesome win the other night. And I know, Roman Yossi talked about it after the game. That one's for Nashville. He had the helmet that they handed the player of the game that he put on the table for the city and for the Covenant School, which was really, really cool that he did that. But that was how much of a confidence builder can that be for these young kids that are having to play right now because of the trades and the injuries?
Yeah, well, and going through everything that they've gone through, the trades, the injuries, obviously playing with heavy, heavy hearts going into that game, it was a lot to go through, and they performed, and they have the for whatever reason, these young guys are able to focus and play and get through a lot. And the veterans have picked up their game, and they're playing as well as they can to try to, fill in the gaps for some turnovers and some young plays that the young guys are making. But in the end, they're all coming together and they're playing hard for each other. And yeah, it's fun to watch. I mean, it's not perfect hockey. They're not expecting perfect. I don't know if they have any expectations at all, other than we're just going to go out and play hard for each other. And penalty kill is blocking shots, and you get to a tight game against the best team in the league, and you're going, okay, they're gonna get over the top and they're gonna score, and the Preds just continue to lock it down and fight. And I can't say enough how fun it is to be up here calling those games and watching this team play, because it's not an easy situation they're going to, but they're making the best of it and they're having fun doing it.
Something, Hal, that has come up, a lot is with the guys in Milwaukee, Carl Taylor, that system, he keeps it very similar to what John Hines is running up here.
Yeah.
So how big, like if you're a veteran player and you come to this team, you got to learn a new system. You're learning what John wants you to run. But if you're a rookie and you're running the same thing down in Milwaukee, how easier of a transition is that for a guy like Evangelista or Tommy Novak, Cody Glass even to an extent last year that was down there, that can just step right in and he knows what they're going to run night in and night out.
Yeah, well, there's two factors in that. I think it's really smart to have some continuity between an AHL team and an NHL team, just so when you do make those call-ups, guys, you're not doing a crash course on a whole different system. So organizationally, that's smart. But the other thing is you may know the system, but you don't know the players you're playing with. And this is a peculiar situation where the top six forwards are all Milwaukee Admirals and have played together in Milwaukee, so they know each other and they play well for each other, and they know tendencies, and if a guy wants a pass on his backhand or his forehand, or if he's looking for one-timers, is there a guy that's going to drive the net? Sherwood is a net drive guy, and he's got to be there. Cody Glass knows where he's going to be going. Tomasino knows where Cody Glass is. These guys have been around each other. They know each other, and so they're making plays for each other. And so I think those two factors play in, having the same system and then knowing the players you're playing with. And that's what has been making it successful. And, you can have all that, but if you don't have the commitment and play the right way and the belief in the system, then it doesn't work. So they've got it all going right now.
Hal Gill is with us live from Pittsburgh. So with the way that these guys are playing and that, they beat Boston the other night, they're 3 points out of a playoff spot. Tonight is obviously very important. And the injuries that have mounted up for this team, because the young guys are playing so well, does that allow the luxury of, you see how many times a guy will play hurt. Barry Trotz used to say, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" There's a difference in the two. Does that allow you the luxury to maybe look at somebody that's been banged up and go, "You know what? I want you in there, but take this extra night. Let's get you a little bit closer and not force it." Do you think that maybe some of that's happening?
Well,
I know it's hard to say, but
I think they're being smart with the injuries. If you're looking at Stanley Cup Game 7, there's no being smart anymore. If you can get on the ice and drag yourself out there, then you're playing. I don't think they have that sense of urgency to get guys back. But would you like to have Roman Josi back in the lineup? Absolutely. Would you like to have Forsberg, Johansson, Duchesne, all these guys? You want to get them out there, but in saying that, let's look at it a different way. Philip Forsberg can go out and make mistakes and try to make plays, and he'll turn the puck over. He has a longer leash. Duchesne has a longer leash. These are the $8 million guys. These are the big elite players in the NHL. They're going to get a longer leash. And so with all these guys out of lineup, who do you give that leash to? And right now, these young guys are getting that leash. They have to go and generate scoring chances. They have to try to make plays, and they wouldn't have gotten this chance if they had other veterans in the lineup. It just wouldn't happen. They'd be playing on a third or fourth line in their role, and they wouldn't be allowed to go out and make mistakes, because third and fourth liners, are supposed to get pucks in deep, move the zones, and get the forecheck going so that the big guys can come out and make plays and score goals. And now they're getting that chance, and they're making the best of it. And I don't think, they're playing without fear. You look at Evangelista, he's tried to make some plays. He's turned the puck over. The other night, he thanked Juice for bailing him out, and then he went out and had 2 goals, 2 assists in Buffalo. And, he's making those plays, but he's turning the puck over. So it's like, and I always said, if I'm playing with an elite star, if he turns the puck over 5 times, I'll cover him. I got his back if he goes and scores goals. If he makes plays and gets us points, that's what you're looking for. So go ahead and turn it over and make those risk plays because there's an upside. And these guys are getting that chance right now. So maybe it's a good thing. I hate to say it's a good thing that there's injuries, but for these guys, it certainly is.
Talking to Hal Gill, Stanley Cup winning defenseman, and you won it right there in Pittsburgh with the Pittsburgh Penguins. When you look up and see that banner, does it just bring fond memories back to you?
Yeah, it's a shame that the old igloo isn't here still. That was the where we won, but yeah, this is a beautiful arena that they built here, and it's there's a lot of same faces around here, so it's kind of nice to come in and see some of the old guys that. We had some battles, 2 years of battles in 08 and 09, and it's nice to come back and see familiar faces and see a team that I know pretty well. And, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, these guys. And, of course, some of our guys, Benino, Groundland, they're around here. So we'll see Groundland tonight. Benino, unfortunately, injured, but, it's nice to see familiar faces. And, yeah, I had some good times here.
Yes, you did. I know, for sure.
Too good, probably, some would say.
The Predators signed Jake Livingstone yesterday to an entry-level contract out of Minnesota State University, a defenseman. He was an all-CCHA first team and the defenseman of the year for 2 straight years. You don't have a lot of games left to throw a young guy in. I remember when they did that with Dante Fabro, but what is kind of the expectation with Livingstone and signing him?
Well, I think they're anxious to see what he's got. They signed him on the 1 year, and then he's a restricted guy after that, so that they want to give him a shot to see what he's all about. This is the amazing thing to me is everyone's got their story, right? There's guys that are first overall, and it's amazing what they do. Pecorine, what draft was he? I mean, he was late, like 8th round pick. I was an 8th round pick, and Pex just came out of nowhere, and it sounds like this guy is that similar, went under the radar and developed his game, a big body, 6'4", 210 pounds or so, and, he's going to get a chance to play in the NHL. I would imagine they want him to get out there and play and see what he's got because there's going to be moves that are made in the offseason, and maybe he's part of the mix of the young guys that come in and have success, but kids out there, if you're paying attention, you never know when your time's going to come up and when you're going to click and when you're going to sign an NHL contract after going undrafted. Those are the kind of stories I like. And, from what I've heard, and he's committed to the game and he's developed his game. And so had a couple great years with Minnesota State. So I'm looking forward to seeing that transition. And, maybe that stay-at-home guy, but I feel like he's got an offensive upside too. So I'm anxious to see him.
Hal, could you draw this up any better for Barry Trotz as he goes through his evaluation process before he takes over as general manager? Basically where they are in the standings in the Western Conference, they can move up, they can move into the playoffs. That would be awesome. They're 3 points out if they can do that, but I don't see them dropping below the position that they're in. The draft picks that they acquired at the trade deadline, and now he's been able to watch, some of this future, like a Livingstone, hopefully he gets in there and watch what the future looks like. I can't think of a better position to be in if I'm Barry Trotz.
Yeah, no, let's, David Poyle and Barry Trotz working together to try to figure this out. And for Trotz, he's looking at this and evaluating everything, not just – Trotzy, he's looking at everything. Mm-hmm. And one thing he's got to look at is John Hines and the coaching staff. Like, what a job they've done at getting these young guys to go out and compete the way they have. And Heinz, he said it a while ago. He said, we want to get meaningful games, and hopefully we can stay in the hunt. And no one ever thought that they would be in the hunt this late. You say, okay, they're going to go lose in Boston. It's going to be tough. They're going to lose some games, and they've lost a couple games, but they're still playing meaningful games, and they're 3 points out, and they have a chance to come within one with a win tonight. So they're going out, and this is a competitive game that they're going to be playing. Not just ride out the season and try to get your cookies and get your points. It's go out and try to win games, and that's when you want to evaluate guys. And so to have this situation, and I mean, come on, Chase, like what a story this would be if these guys can come in. We're looking through the lineup, and the top 6 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, you can look at any one of those guys, and they've all played more games than the top 6 for the Preds combined. Like the top 6 is a Milwaukee Admirals call-up, and they're going out and winning games and beating the best team in the league. And, was it Juiced? Was it Ryan McDonough and Tyson Barrie and Colton Sissons and the penalty kill carry? Yeah, it was that, but it's also this young group of kids that are coming up and making an impact. So I just think it's such a great story, and I like to talk about the game while it's happening. So it's nice to talk about some pretty exciting hockey that these guys are playing.
Yeah, for sure. Skillsy, great stuff. A positive conversation, a fun conversation, and I think it's
informative. I appreciate you because you're asking the right questions. You want to learn, and we want to learn together, and we're excited about what's going on. So it's a nice sign that we can be optimistic and positive and have a good conversation. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's because I had my dunks today. So that's what it is.
Of course you did.
Yeah, just
I was
like
in Boston. I got my dunks, pal.
There you
100%.
go. Perfect.
Yeah,
Skillsy, we'll be yes, we'll be listening to you and Pete here in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chase.
Cheers. Hal Gill on the call tonight with Pete Weber. Max Hers will have pregame for you in about 15 minutes. Coming up next, we'll get to Predators game day and also get Tehran's final thoughts on some of the stuff that we have discussed today. That's all next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in 3 easy steps. 1. Get a free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with a check in about an hour. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for the Twin Peaks E-Club and stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks. As a friend of the Peaks Club, you'll score free stuff and be updated on upcoming events and promotions. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com and sign up today.
This is C.J. McCollum, star of the New Orleans Pelicans and co-host of the C.J. McCollum Show.
McCollum at the horn for 3. Got it!
Inviting you to join Israel Gutierrez and me once a week as we discuss names and storylines in and around the NBA with the inside perspective you can only get from someone in the locker room and on the floor. Listen to great guests from players such as Brandon Ingram and Andre Iguodala, and input from a great team of ESPN Insider regulars like Brian Windhorst, Tim McMinn, and Mark Spears. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Ah, starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we can take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you've experienced a concussion, the injury can result in temporary chemical changes inside the brain that can cause it to function improperly. The signs and symptoms may occur immediately or take several days to appear. The experienced doctors at Houston Clinic Orthopedics can diagnose your concussion and get you feeling back to normal with therapy and rehabilitative exercises. If you experience head injury signs such as headache, dizziness, nausea, sensitivity, ringing in ears, or problems with memory, balance, vision, or concentration, visit tn.houston.com to learn more and to book an appointment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
They talk sports.
The Predators get the 2 points, which is obviously what they needed.
They're not making big moves that are jaw-dropping signings in free agency.
They talk life.
Well, I almost just fell down the stairs, so there's that.
My backpack was so heavy, the seatbelt alarm was going off the entire trip.
But most of all, they have a good time.
Here or there.
Yeah.
Chase and Michelle, weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Teron Davenport. It has been a good day. We've had a lot of fun today.
Absolutely. We had a lot of fun. We talked a lot of things, and it brought me back, man. It's the 2019, Friday night, the Chase and TD show.
Yeah, oh, yeah. We had some fun with that. Talking shop every week, and
he got that dog in it.
He got that dog in it. So that was when I learned the phrase, or the phrase that you would always use, and you were talking about Khalif Raymond.
Yes,
like you could see his ribs, like he's so hungry you can see his ribs.
Starving to that degree.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guy that Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel are going to look for, and what they want. And This thing is so incomplete right now. We don't know what the full picture is going to look like. And they both said that this week because you guys asked him about Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. And Vrabel's like, I'm not going to commit to saying a guy's on the roster now and if he'll be on the roster in September. And, the conversation is going to continue on Tannehill because of that. Yeah. And then Carthon is like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like this, He's been here, he's been rehabbing and everything, but I think we've seen in the NFL a lot can change. Speaking of, I haven't brought this up with you yet, and I'm surprised I haven't done this. What the heck's going to happen with Lamar?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Is he going to be the Baltimore Ravens quarterback?
I don't know. And they met with there was Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ out there in Phoenix. So it's like, how do you sign with the Ravens if you don't know Lamar will be there? I don't know, but it's funny to me because Arthur Blank had those comments about his style of play and how it cost him 5 to 6 games in each of the past year. Well, guess where the injuries happen? In the pockets.
In the pocket, which is protection. So, yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm surprised that a young former MVP quarterback is available and teams aren't knocking down the door.
Yeah.
They're knocking down the
scared.
door to say they don't want him. It's a shame. Last time I checked, Lamar doesn't have anything legal pending.
No.
Last time I checked, he's always been off the field, no issues. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and my thing with him, and I've brought this up a few times, that I want to see him get a stud, just go-to wide receiver. Because I don't think he's ever really had that.
He's had a tight end. And receivers didn't want to go there because of that offense.
Right.
They didn't want to go there because of the offense, not because of Lamar. And all this talk about how, the offense was made around him. Greg Roman made the offense around him because that's what he's done in the past with Tyrod Taylor, with Colin Kaepernick. And then on top of that, when you look at Louisville, not too far from here, He threw for over 9,000 yards
Right.
in a pro offense. So don't give me that nonsense. He can't play in a pro offense. That's horse crap.
So if you give Lamar OBJ, and I don't know what OBJ is going to be, but if he's OBJ, if he's that guy, like I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah,
because he's never or DeAndre Hopkins or somebody like that. Give him a stud, true number one wide receiver, and let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, and the thing is, you look at it. Joe Burrow got Jamar Chase, game elevated. Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs, game elevated. Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown, game elevated. Lamar Jackson got who?
Nobody.
You know what I mean? And it's just so it's intriguing to me because the Ravens, I mean, the guy that sat in this chair right here is one of the veteran receivers that went in, and his name is in the record books. Derek Mason, Steve Smith, Anquan Bolden. Like, they have a history of acquiring veteran receivers and making it work. What's the one uncommon denominator? That offense.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So we will see. But good having you here. Real quick, let's get to Predators game day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. Predators and Penguins coming up tonight, a little over an hour from now. Predators at 37-28-8. Penguins 36-28-10 on the year. And the Pittsburgh Penguins fighting for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference standings as they sit in the second wildcard spot with 82 points, 1 point ahead of Florida in that race. The Predators, as we know, are also at 82 points. They're 1 point behind Calgary, 3 points out of a playoff spot behind Winnipeg. Here was head coach John Hines talking about the matchup against Pittsburgh.
They have the high-end superstar power like Boston. I mean, they're a team that generates offense really well. I think they play structurally without the puck. Special teams are good, so it's they're a challenging group to face. And I think when you play these teams, not necessarily back to back in the sense, but one game after the other game, I think that there's a lot of similarities that you can draw upon from the Boston game that we can bring into this game.
And I agree with that. Boston was such an emotional win. You know how it can be with sports, TD. You use that emotion and you go out and get it done. But the Predators got to get it done tonight. It's been fun, my friend. Just like old times. Good to have
times. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Teron Davenport, Talking with TD, is the podcast, and you can check out his work on ESPN. Coming up next, Max Hers has the League Company Nashville Predators pregame show on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Predators Game Day